This is Infection, the survival podcast, recorded live on Tuesday, November 13th, 2018. Episode 200. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Infection, the survival podcast. This is episode 200, Brian. Get ready for it, folks. Here it is. There we go. Episode 200 of the program. Thank you so much for joining us on a Tuesday evening. And we're here. We're live. We're festive. We got great hats on.
Yes.
It's another beautiful day
to be celebrated.
It's a great day. We opened the show for the pre-stream with Celebration by Cool and the Gang. It's just been a great show, and we're here. It's been it'll be 4 years in. Did we start in February or January? I think February is when H1Z1 came out.
Yeah, I think
first week of February, something like that.
Yep. I think we talked. Well, no, because we. When did it come out versus when we did it like the same week?
We did. So I think it came out in February. So it'll be 4 years. If Nisco's saying 3.8 years, it'll be 4 years here in just a couple months. So thanks for joining us. We got a couple. Let's see. Firebomb said he's been here since episode 34. If anybody else knows what numbers or what number episode they found the show or how they found the show in the group, my party hat is slipping off here. Let us know in the chat throughout the show, and we'll bring that up. My name is Nick Craig. You can follow me on Twitter at Nicholas M. Craig. You can visit our website, infectionpodcast.com. And we're here. And I'm also here with Brian, who's looking... Brian has another hat that he can hold up. Right? Brian went all out. It's a little sombrero.
Reverse. Yeah, this doesn't... I'm not going to have this thing... There we go.
A little sombrero. So we're all in the festive...
I was in the picture, it looked bigger.
I bought all these party poppers, and I mean, I guess I'll use another one, right? I mean, I think they were like $1.50 or whatever for these little.
Yeah, for how many?
I got
10 of them.
Yeah, I got a whole pack. Let's see.
Oh, it just shot behind my computer. I'm gonna clean that up later.
Yeah, it's laying all over.
That one was much better.
It's laying all over my light. It's smoking. Look at this. There you go. So we're here. We're live. Did you do your intro, Brian? Oh, my hat. Look at this. My hat's falling off.
That's good. Now you're Joe's favorite.
I'm a unicorn now. Where
so if you want to find me at Boise Computer on Twitter or my blog, biteoftech.com, make sure you go to our website. On there, we will have show notes for this episode 200 and for every episode that we've done before this. So all the way back to episode 1, we've got a post for each set of show notes. Also, we have a link to our Twitch channel. Maybe you're catching this after the fact, and you want to have an opportunity to join us live, be a part of the game giveaway. One thing that's nice about joining us live is you're going to be able to make comments, ask questions, discuss things in the chat with other viewers. We also have a link to our Discord. So if you want to maybe give some news links to us, we have a news channel in there. It's a place that I go and check every time I'm putting together the show notes. We pull things from that news channel. We have our Steam group. If you'd like notifications of when the live shows are going to start, maybe you happen to be at your computer, you can go ahead and go join that group, and it'll pop up a little notification right before. So it's all right there on our website, infectionpodcast.com.
Absolutely. I want to thank our good friend PHVCK for this beautiful festive double shot background that we've got here. Nice and festive. Boy, we've got a lot to get into. Real quick, we've got a 7 Days to Die update on the clock. 525 days, Brian, since the last update, and we'll continue to bring that every week. You can find it displayed right on our homepage. That's first thing you see.
They did put some
news,
some images.
Yeah,
I don't know how much news it is, but it is some teasers. So hopefully that's an indication that they're actually planning on releasing this year. I hope.
I wouldn't, I was going to say I'm not a gambling man. I am a gambling man. I would not gamble on that.
You're not going to bet on that one?
I would not gamble on that game being out in 2018. But we'll see. They got pretty much a month. One thing to quickly remember, in general, 30 days from now, December 15th or so, everything is going to stop, and everything will, in our kind of realm, in the game realm.
Well, even before that, everything from America, pretty much from Thanksgiving on, just people don't work. I mean,
well,
it'd be nice
but they're not going to release they're not going to do anything massive between Thanksgiving and Christmas. People are away. I mean, nobody wants to be dealing with
the thing
bugs
is
Christmas
they practically have a whole week off. I think most of them are doing at least 4-day holidays for
my
Christmas and Thanksgiving, because of the way that it lands. It's a 4-day holiday usually for those. So there's just a lot of news there's not a lot of news being posted. There's not a lot of updates being posted during that time. Of course, we'll still have things to talk about, but just a reminder, because that's been the trend for the last 4 years.
Yeah. So that's something to just keep in mind if you're watching and keeping track of the news over the past couple years. That's typically how it works. This time of year. All right. Game of the week turned out to be a different game of the week due to, I think, a lot more people having a specific game. So what did you guys end up playing for Friday night?
So we actually played ARK.
Yeah.
Everybody that was in there had ARK. They kind of wanted to play ARK. We got in there to play. We actually had pulled up and we're getting ready to log into Blackout. And we're like, everybody here has ARK. Let's just play ARK instead.
And that worked out good.
Yep. And so we had a good time with that. Played some ARK. Tamed some dinos. Built some things. It was good.
Well, you'll have a full review for us a little bit later on of the DLC.
Yep. And we'll be talking. Yeah, we'll be talking some about the new DLC as well today.
Okay, cool. So that was our game of the week. Now I will actually be out of town this weekend. I've got some family coming to visit me. So I will be out of town Friday night. So I guess the ball is in your court, Mr. Aldridge. Okay. What are you feeling like Friday night?
Well, I was thinking, I think they're doing a free weekend for Islands of Nine, but we'll be talking about the ratings of that. The ratings are really low.
But a free weekend is probably a good idea.
I think it's because they're not filling lobbies. And so free weekend might be a good time for people to experience it and then at least see how it plays. So I was open to the idea of doing Islands of Nine if people would be willing to try it out.
Is it let me verify quick here if it's
let's verify.
So yeah, that'd be good. That's one of those BR games they announced way before PUBG, and unfortunately just got beat to the punch, and since then have kind of failed to gain really any sort of traction.
It says November 29th, so November 29th. Okay, so it's in the future, a couple weeks, but so let's do on that weekend, November 29th weekend.
That'll be the 30th, November 30th, yeah.
Okay, so on the 30th, let's do Islands of Nine, just so people can experience it.
Gotcha.
Because, I mean, it is a good game. It's just people aren't playing it. And we'll go over that in the ratings a little bit towards the end of the show, probably.
Well, so since you skipped Blackout last week, you want to...
We could do Blackout. And people were ready to play it. So let's go and do Blackout since we did do ARK. And then if people decide they're still into ARK, we can...
Shift it around.
We'll play it by ear. Yep.
Yeah, play it by ear. So Friday night...
We'll plan on Blackout.
You can join in our Discord. We've got a couple new people in our Discord that I see they're all playing ARK. Hopefully they'll stick around and play some other games with us. That'll you can find the link for that website. It's infectionpodcast.com, and you'll be good to go.
Very good.
Okay. We've got a lot of news to get into today.
This week was crazy.
Crazy stuff. Where you want to just start off? You want to start off with this top thing? Just mention it.
Yeah, let's go ahead and mention Stan Lee from Marvel Comics. I mean, anybody who's been watching some of these different movies, X-Men, Thor, Iron Man, Black Panther, Spider-Man, Fantastic Four, he always did a cameo. So even if you don't follow him, you've seen him in one of these films if you've watched them. So, but he passed away at 95 this past week. And so that for people that are fans of, I don't know how much he was having to do with day to day. I don't know how this is actually going to affect now, the operations of Marvel, but he was a big influence in the industry. The problem is when guys like this go away, a lot of times these companies change into something other than what made them popular and what made people love him in the first place. So hopefully that doesn't happen with Marvel. But yeah, it'll be sad for a lot of people that he's gone, and he is a loss to that whole industry. So
yeah, there's a there's a funny clip circulating around social media. I don't know if you've seen it, of a sports talk host. Somebody called in and said, you know, did you hear the news about Stan Lee? And he goes, I don't care. I've never I've never read comic books. But I'll play it maybe at the end of the show, depending on time. But he is Firebomb said here, shaped my childhood. Yeah, I mean, if you've anything Spider-Man or I mean, just so many different. They're not all superheroes, but comic book characters. You know, he touched or had some influence in all of those, if not, you know, not necessarily directly, but like I remember one of my favorite games on the PlayStation 2 when I was probably 7 or 8 was I don't remember what Spider-Man game it was, but no, I played that game all the time. So a lot of people have got similar experiences to that. So yeah, well, lived a good life. 95. You really can't ask for much more than that, can you?
Yeah, you can't complain.
No, definitely.
If I make it to my 70s, I'm set.
Oh man, Infection Podcast is gonna be rolling smooth. Oh, episode 732 of the podcast.
Hopefully we're beyond that. I don't know. Will that be?
Hey, what do you mean? Hopefully we're beyond that. We're doing the podcast.
I'm saying hopefully we'll be past 700. I'm trying to think of how many years that is.
That's just too much.
By the time I'm 70,
yeah, by the time you're 70. Okay, yeah, we'll be like episode 10.
Because we're at episode 200. 700. That's
okay.
500 more episodes.
Yeah.
Am I going to be 70 by then? I hope not.
No, well, I mean, it depends on how. Just who knows? You can identify as a 70-year-old. So that's sad news on Stan Lee. But apparently, I read something. I don't remember where it was, that he's already recorded a couple of cameos against green screens that they probably will be able to use. So, I heard that's pretty cool.
Well, yeah, that'll be interesting to see how people, because in the theaters, people will freak out and cheer and everything else when that happens. So good for him.
Yes.
Not that he died, but good for him that he. Not good for him that he died, but good for him that he did that because of a last thing to give back to his fans.
Yeah, we get a quote him, Brian Aldridge. Good for him.
Died for him.
Dead at 95. Good for him. So let's talk about Fallout. They just wrapped up their pre-order beta that they were doing, and I don't know how much you watched of it. I actually watched a decent amount of it because I'm not planning on buying the game. At least I'm definitely not buying it on launch. And frankly, I mean, I've got so many other things I'd rather be playing. If
it doesn't make drastic changes, I don't see the point in purchasing it. I was watching a review today of somebody who has a YouTube channel and reviews and loves Bethesda games, right?
Yep.
And he said, I just do not buy this game. He says everything about it supports the negative aspects of a development company. That we could talk about some of the particulars of it.
Yeah,
like, for you, what was the biggest thing that you see as a drawback of Fallout 76? Based
on, again, clarification here, I've not played it and you have not played it. We didn't pre-order it. But I think I've watched enough. I watched enough videos from people that I have watched enough in the past to know typically how they fall in line with games. And these are people that, I watched a review of a guy that is currently playing the Fallout New California. It's like his third time playing through that, which is a separate mod for Fallout New Vegas.
Just because he's hungry for any kind of new content.
He's just a big Fallout fan, and he's a Twitch streamer. I've watched him for years, and watching some of his thoughts on Fallout 76. We've talked about this in the past. I don't want to, excuse me. I don't want to beat a dead horse, but what made Fallout 76 so great, and what made games like
Fallout 17 about
excuse me. What made Fallout games so good? What makes a game like Red Dead Redemption so good is that you can just do your own thing, and not all of it, because I think there's a lot of people going extreme, saying, well, the whole game is, you can in some respects still do your own thing, but there are outside influences now that have never existed in a Fallout game before, and to this point, it's still untested whether people as a whole will adopt those changes or not. Every Fallout game in the past has been single player, 100% single player. There's not a multiplayer in terms of the inside the world, and this game took a lot of those single player elements, voice acted NPCs, just weird world events that would just happen. A lot of that is gone, and in its place is the concept of doing things with your friends or foes, for a matter of fact. And I just don't know. I don't know what the reception is going to be. I mean, you look at the reviews now and what people are saying now, and I'd be a little paranoid if I was Bethesda right now, kind of anticipating the launch of this game. We've got
and I keep hearing over and over again, it just feels lifeless, that the world just does not feel interesting. It's missing that thing that made Fallout. Okay, so how Bethesda doesn't understand this is what kind of scares me.
Okay.
Because for me, what I enjoyed about Fallout was exploring the world and coming across a new place where I could then unlock quests, discover story, as far as like the interaction, not just a voice recording saying, here's what happened. And I think that's what they don't understand. They're like, oh, there's still lore in here, but all you're doing is hearing recordings. It's the same thing as you could go on YouTube and listen to lore. You're not actually living the lore. And that's the difference people enjoy about Fallout, is that you are part of the story. Here, you're not actually part of the story. You're doing your own thing. The story already happened. You're not actually making anything happen. And I think that's what they're missing out on, and what people enjoyed about Fallout.
Fat Broken Ugly's got an interesting comment. He says they turned Fallout into an expensive version of Rust. There is some of that element of
without the trolling, without the PvP, which means there's nothing.
It's a tough situation. We've talked about it in the past. The industry as a whole is moving towards online games because there is such an there's so much more revenue. We look at a game like Fortnite, they're making tens of millions, if not hundreds of millions of dollars a month across all their platforms. There's a lot of money in post-game extras. And in a single-player game, that's pretty much, I mean, you can charge for that stuff, but it doesn't really work. So we're seeing a lot of that. And I think in the inspiration for Fallout 76 is, where is the line? Is there even a line between single player and multiplayer? Is there a line? I don't know. It's yet to be determined. And is Fallout 76 the line? We don't know. I don't know of any other game that is to this level that is doing this. That is a traditionally single player game. That's like if the next Last of Us comes out, and it's like a weird MMO hybrid.
Yeah.
Who knows?
I think where they could have made this work is, as I kind of mentioned before, is doing some sort of a co-op. They would have kept it feeling like Fallout with stories, and you're actually able to affect the world, but you know what? You're affecting the world together. You're doing it as a group. The world changes, things are happening. You're unlocking areas, you're unlocking to where maybe you have a base, whatever it is, different things are changing. Rather than this, the world is always the same, which it works good for a survival game. But the problem is this is not a survival game. Not in the sense. I mean, we always talk about, survival game is fairly loose, but we don't consider Fallout a true survival game. You're going around the world, picking up items, but it's not known for building bases, and having PvP. Because I think that's the biggest aspect they're missing, is if you don't want to do PvP, you can turn it off. That's great, but it should be by server, not by default. So, because I think a lot of people want to have the option of PvP, and PH was talking about, he went in there and he was trying to troll people, and he says it was almost impossible, other than just yelling into the mic, because mics were always on for everybody, that you couldn't troll anybody because you can't do any damage to anybody. You just run around and people are running around beside you.
So it's almost like a PvE Rust server in some respects.
Yeah, it's a PvE Rust server, which sounds like the most boring thing that you could possibly do. Because at least in PvE, at least in Rust, you can build a big base. Like in this, I haven't seen bases being that impressive. It's more like you're placing objects down. You know, you're not. And with Rust, there's always the thought of, okay, my base could get destroyed. You know, someone could attack it. I'm building to protect. And here, what are you building to protect against?
Yeah, I mean, their base is modular, and you can just kind of pack it up and you rebuild it.
Up and you move it.
Yeah, I feel for Bethesda in this regard because I don't know if there is a perfect solution for this. There's a whole group of people that want a regular single player game, like previous Fallouts, and then there's people that want something more interactive where they can play with other people, play with their friends. And I just don't know if you can take those two polar opposites and mesh them together and they work. It's still kind of unseen what Red Dead Redemption is going to do with their multiplayer. I think it was smart of them to not have the multiplayer available on launch. I think that was a very tactical thing that they did.
People that would just sit there and never have launched the single player. I mean, they would just always, from day one, would have been in multiplayer and would never experienced the game itself.
I think
you'll still get people, I'm sure, that will.
You will, but I think that was a good decision to kind of say, hey, remember, we're still single player. Here's the single player. You got to wait a couple weeks before you can even get in the multiplayer beta.
That's their focus, and they're making it clear.
Yeah, so, and a lot of that is just PR, but maybe that would have helped Fallout. Maybe it would have helped them if they released the game only single player for the first 2 months, 3 months, and then weaned in the multiplayer.
They should have made it something that was capable of playing. Here's what would have probably made it fun. If they made a game that was capable of playing single player and being fun, and then making it to where it's more than one person there. The problem is if it feels like a single player game with how people are playing it, but it's no fun as a single player game. This one is,
because a lot of those single player elements are
gone. They're not existent here. Now, here's some changes that they're going to be putting in. So I'll just read these off really quick. So they'll be doing ultra wide support for people that have ultra wide monitors, large stash size. So the stash size is 400 weight, but they're going to be increasing that in the future. Push to talk will be added in the future.
Bing, bing.
So everybody's not running around, hearing, which I don't understand why games do this. It just makes no sense why you would have an always on mic, because what if my wife is in the background talking? Well, everybody need to hear that.
They're trying to make it like it's a real life situation in which there is no way to have a private conversation.
Magic voice coming from the background.
No, but
the voice of God coming in.
No, but I can see what they're trying to do. They're trying to make it so that you don't have the opportunity to turn your mic off and be a hermit and not be.
I got a little knob here. I can.
Yeah, I mean, so can I, but most people don't. I mean, that's the
most people don't realize. Maybe they don't realize they have a mic on their webcam and it's just going to be on.
Now, PH says it's horrible for streamers. Of course. I mean, if you're here when you're streaming, you're doing a show. I mean, when I play Red Dead Redemption, if I was playing online with people and my mic was going through, they'd be like, this guy needs to shut the fuck up. Like, he's talking about nothing.
You have people, because he's got to keep talking to his audience.
I'm talking to myself over here late at night, role playing as a cowboy. I mean, and it's like, it would be weird if that was just going out over the game. It'd be crazy.
Which it just doesn't make sense that they would do that. They're going to be adding a field of view slider. So that I assume if part of it, you can get a headache. I mean, I've seen it to where people, when you can't tune those settings, like people get headaches.
Yeah.
Also, bloom is always on. They didn't address that, but that, along with some of these settings, can really mess up your feel for the game. They talked about exploits of various types. They've seen a lot reported. Part of the problem with this is people are able to mod this game in the exact same way that they've modded Fallout 4. Those files actually work. And so people have been creating mods, even though there's supposed to not be any kind of mods. They've been creating mods for Fallout 76, and they've been working. So that's something that they'll have to figure out. There's been issues with inviting friends and making teams and things like that. Also issues with the hunger bar. and then noises have been extra loud. It's like gunshots and different other noises that are in the world have been way louder than they're supposed to be. So those are the settings or the issues that they've acknowledged up to this point. And we'll see what they do before the launch tomorrow, correct? Tomorrow?
Yeah, I think so.
Yep, on the 14th. So it does launch tomorrow. Hopefully they've fixed a bunch more bugs in that list based on what I've watched. Everybody that has played it has given a recommendation of do not get this.
See,
even somebody who got the big edition with the helmet and all that stuff, they got that and they said, put on the helmet and then launch Red Dead.
I've seen. I mean, I want to try to be some. I'm not accusing you of anything here, Brian. I want to be somewhat objective with this. I have seen a number of people saying they like the game. I think it's a little. I think we're being a little extreme in saying everybody says it sucks. Not everybody, but the people I expected to give this game a good time, give it a good review, and give it a good recommendation are not. And in my opinion, that speaks a lot, because the people that I'm specifically looking for to get the review is people that I know damn well have got so much Fallout playtime, so much Fallout experience. I mean, I've been watching this one guy since I was. I've probably been watching this one guy on Twitch for 7 years. I've watched him from time to time playing Fallout, and I watched him play Fallout 76, and he was just very unimpressed with how it played. Was just wasn't a fan of it. That was and of course it's one person's review. Don't get me wrong, but it's like it's almost as if they can't win at this point. There is so much negative stigma with the game that's not even out. Prior to the beta even being released, there was so much negative stigma.
Well, people were excited day one when they didn't know what it
E3. I remember when we were sitting in Discord, we watched E3, PH streamed E3, restreamed it. We all were in Discord talking, and we were watching Bethesda's press conference. And I remember specifically, sorry to throw him under the bus, Saul said, if they do this right, this could be the survival game that our group has been looking for. And when they first did their launch at E3, and there was no talk of just 4 players and all this other nonsense, there was a thought around the internet that this could be the long-forsaken online survival game that thousands of people have been waiting for. And as details trickled out over time, it became more and more obvious that was not the case. And I don't even think it matters what they do at this point. I don't see the game being that successful. It'll be successful. Yeah. They'll make their money back. It's a Fallout game. It's one of the largest.
And they're doing
titles.
Microtransactions on this one, so you'll actually be able to get skins and things like that with microtransactions. The skins are like $5 for like a helmet.
Saul just subscribed to us for 10 months and said he's fake news. I really don't think it matters at this point. The internet has made up their mind. The same way the internet made up their mind that No Man's Sky was going to be like the greatest open world space game to ever exist. The internet made up their mind, and then the game came out. And I feel like at this point...
And the thing is, they were able to make the game fun in the long run, but they could never recover from the feelings that people had of how it first came out with No Man's Sky. And so with this, I just don't know, even if they fix the game over the next 6 months, if it has a really poor launch, most of these companies can't recover from that.
I mean, when
people don't look past it anymore. They won't accept it is a different game. Maybe it's gotten fixed. They look at that first initial launch.
When I typically browse Reddit before I go to bed on my phone. And when I'm browsing Reddit and like the 9th overall post on all from R Gaming is Fallout 76 memed into an Etch-a-Sketch. Not a good indication of what people are thinking. It's just not when it is when it's like the 9th overall post on Reddit, that is not a good sign. It's just not a good sign. And I just don't know how you get over such a negative stigma in your game. I don't know how you do it. I don't know if it's possible. They are going to be doing and I say damage control. They haven't done anything wrong, but they're going to be doing damage control. They've been doing damage control since the first time Todd spoke outside of E3, and they've been doing damage control since. They released that statement a couple weeks ago saying, give it a try. You know, they released a press release apologizing essentially for the game. It's not even out.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, they've been doing damage control since day one. It's just, I just don't know, dude. I really don't know.
So
I
do
feel
you
really
think,
bad for the Bethesda.
So seeing the engine and the game in the state it is right now, does this make you concerned for these other titles? They're big titles that are going to be coming out in the future.
The next
If they're
Skyrim?
using this engine, you would think that they would have more advancements, because a lot of people are saying, you know, sometimes the light looks really good. Here's some comments that I heard. Sometimes the light looks really good, you know, when you look at a certain angle and it comes across it just right. But he says, generally, when you're moving around, he says, it looks like an outdated game engine. It looks like an older game.
Well, here's the thing. What is it? As a kid, you've got to fall off your bike and scrape your knee to learn to ride your bike. That's like the one thing, right? You always fall off the bike and do something. Your elbow, your knee, you always scrape something, it hurts, you cry, you get over it. This Fallout 76 may be the industry game that falls and hurts their knee. And if it's as a flop as everybody's talking about, there's not a chance in hell they are going to try this again, or probably any other major studio is going to try this. In my opinion, that this could be the and if it works, it'll be the opposite effect. If they have a successful career with this game, because that's the one thing about Fallout games that are unlike almost any other game, unlike Red Dead, unlike Call of Duties, unlike Battlefields, unlike all these other games, people play these games for years. And when I say years, I mean there are still people that play Fallout 3 like it came out yesterday. They've been playing the game for 10 years it's been out. It's not even supported on Windows 10. I mean, they've got to hack it to play on Windows 10.
So, but here's my concern though. I mean, you look at this engine and everything, like the fact that it's, I don't think that for these other titles coming out, Elder Scrolls and all this, I mean, they're going to have to redo a lot. Especially, well, with this one being online here, look at this concern though. This being online, those other games could sell over years and years and years, and it was a fresh experience for anybody who purchased
every
it.
time.
Every time. The issue here,
you could buy Fallout 4 today, and it is
you'll be able to experience that story.
That same thing that I experienced day one when I bought it 2.5 years ago.
This one is relying on people playing, the attitude of other people playing. And that's one of the, and we've talked about it with H1Z1. That was the magic of it, was the playing together and being able to create those relationships and do that. This doesn't have very many people playing as far as at one time. You can't get a very big group. You're relying on 4 people, which we found in like the forest is a horrible thing because you're relying on those people being back on and they have to be consistent. They've put all the ingredients for something not going right. And it seems like they've put it into this soup of a game. That's my concern.
I think you're right. We'll know here in probably the next 2 weeks. We'll know by Thanksgiving, after Thanksgiving, when people have had a couple days off from work to really sit down and grind out, you know, put 28, 30 hours into the game. I think we'll know a little bit better. But it's going to be really interesting to see what the release of this is like, and if there is a spin from Bethesda on it. Which, you know, there probably will be, because they're going to have to. I mean, they're going to have to spin this into. They need to convince somebody like me, who's typically a pretty big fan of Fallout. I'm not the biggest Fallout fan in the world, but I enjoy Fallout games, and I don't mind paying for a Fallout game because I know I'm getting a Bethesda quality game. They need to convince me to buy their game, and frankly, I don't know if they're capable of doing that. That's just my opinion on it.
And over time we've learned that a game company rarely can overcome a poor engine. And I think that they were able to do everything they could have up to that point. But I think coming into this new generation, I think that people are wanting something that looks really good for like Elder Scrolls.
Yeah.
I don't think they're going to accept these really blocky characters. And I think that from here on out, people are going to be very disappointed when they launch those games and it's not gorgeous. I mean, if you can take anything from the example that we've seen from Red Dead, like that is what game companies are capable of doing. And when they deliver something that is so short of that, that's nowhere near current industry standards, I think people will have a harder time accepting, okay, well, this game is fun. I think they're going to start poking holes in the company, and this could be the downfall if they don't make some serious changes at this point. I think, personally, I think that this could be, this trend could take Bethesda down because people will be like, because other companies will come out and maybe release games that have really good content or have this big open world, but they look good too.
Yeah, I think that's an interesting thought there. Firebomb is saying, wait, this is episode 200. No negativity. We got to talk about positive things. Let's transition into ARK. They released is this their third and final or fourth and final DLC?
Third and final
DLC. And I know
they put out maps and things like that. Other stuff that wasn't part of the main DLC, but this is the third official DLC. Like that.
Now, have we shown this trailer?
No, this is a new one. So
okay.
I don't think we have shown this.
Okay,
one.
let me get this loaded up then.
I think it just came out. There was a piece of it, like they showed a little piece of it, if I remember correctly, but this would be the full trailer.
Okay, so this is the ARK Extinction. I guess this is the launch trailer. I guess we'll call it. So we'll watch this real quick, and then we'll take a look. We'll comment on it. All right, that's the ARK Extinction trailer. And
Yes.
Now one thing, for maybe people that haven't played ARK before and see that channel go, holy moly. ARK is known for, I'm not knocking them, but these trailers are known for not necessarily being the most, it's a trailer like everything else. It's not accurate gameplay. It's not how people actually play the game. There's a lot of discrepancies in their trailers from their games. That's every game, but specifically in ARK, you watch a trailer like that and you go, damn.
Yeah.
That's impressive. I'm not saying it's not impressive, but that's something to be mindful because they use all in-game, except for the live action thing they did at the beginning. It's all in-game stuff. I mean, it's all in-game stuff. It's not pre-engine renders or whatnot. They're literally recording the game. So I'll toss it over to you, Brian. You've had the opportunity to play as well as a lot of other members in our group. Specifically, our friend Barbie has been playing. I mean, every time I look at Discord, she's playing. What's the thought from the group? You first, and then what's everybody else thinking?
So the map it's different than any maps that have come out before this. I mean, there are pieces from the other maps. They have a desert area. They have a snow biome. And it kind of tells some of the story of like how these biomes work, why the arcs were kind of self-contained, things like that. But this one has a giant city and it's gotten corrupted. From what I can tell, one of the arc, what are the things in the middle of the arc?
Obelisks.
The obelisk one had broken or something and corrupted the area. So you see a lot of dinos that have this weird kind of effect on them. There is a lot of layering to this map, much different than they did before. Like the city has many layers to it, and so it's very difficult to traverse with the dinosaur because there's drop-offs and lower sections, upper sections. Then there's a whole underground tunnel system with caves. And then you have two biomes that are still working. So your snow and your desert biomes still work. And so those ones kind of sit, and once you go in them, an interesting effect is like you just see as if you're in one of the regular maps. Like the second you cross the line, like it looks like a mountain range behind you, and it looks like everything is the snow biome. So that's an interesting effect they did. As far as dinosaurs, they do have some new dinosaurs they've added into this. There have been some bugs with this one. Like for instance, if you go to the cave, there were just thousands of beavers everywhere. And we figured, well, maybe that was on purpose. But I was just thinking, man, this has got to be lagging out the server. I mean, having thousands and thousands of beavers running around in one little area, like in one lake. It looked like, remember how many piranhas, like you'd see a lake that was just filled with piranhas?
Yeah.
It was like that, but beavers.
That's not uncommon with an ARK update, though. I mean, this happens.
But I mean, they patched it. And then there's the very large titans that you saw in the trailer. I haven't gotten to that point yet, but these are big boss battles. They are creating some sort of end game and all these different things to happen, which I think is more than what you've seen from previous arcs. But the thing I don't like is all the server transfers and all these different things. It's just, I don't know. I liked ARK back in the days when you played on one server and they didn't have it to where you could transfer things in and out personally.
So here's the real question then. And I'm not trying to cut you off, but here's the real question. Mm-hmm. Is ARK Extinction worth $19.99?
Yeah, if you like ARK in general, then yeah, I would say so. But if you weren't into ARK at any point in time, like we were into ARK at one point in time.
Yeah.
I would say it's worth $20, but I'm personally, I'm kind of, I've been frustrated ever since they started doing the cross realm stuff.
Here's the one thing to remember with ARK, and it's the reason I haven't bought any of the DLC is unless you're really going to invest the time, it's not worth it. And I'm just not interested in investing the time into. We did our dues, in ARK, and just none of the DLCs appealed to me because you really have got to put in the time to experience. Like you mentioned, all those mech, all that end game stuff. Like we never
have to play.
reached
And the
it.
thing is, if you can't play it casually, unless you're playing local by yourself or a private server to where we spin it up, do some stuff, spin it down, and over time, eventually get to that. But the thing is 90 something% of the people that play this game will never see any of that stuff.
Now,
Never.
Well, you've been
They've
talking.
made it unobtainable for your average player.
Yeah, and that's always been my problem with ARK is I've never, even though we put in the time originally when we played, it was on the public server, and we never got to the end stuff. Sareth and a couple of other people are mentioning private servers similar to Conan. If you got to have a private server to to boost certain things up. But I've been reading through the reviews here on Steam, and it's got just shy of 1,000 reviews, and 65% of them are positive. One theme in all the reviews, Brian, and I want to get your opinion, is there's lots of comments about it being, unlike other ARK maps, there's a lot of, the word they're using is wasteland and empty and open space. That is not typical in an ARK map. The ARK maps are traditionally pretty small, but they pack every square inch of the map with trees and rocks and waterfalls and hills and whatever, that until you're flying, it's a freaking it's a pain in the ass to get from point A to point B.
See, but it is like that now because in that wasteland there are those corrupted dinos, which are more powerful. So you'll run across a level 200, 300 and something dinosaur that'll just wreck you. I had a level 130 Rex, and I tamed it and had leveled it up a bit, beyond that. It was in the 200s, and I came across one it's a new creature. I don't remember what it's called off the top of my head right now, but it's one of their new, like, kind of powerful dragon-like things. And that thing almost wrecked. I mean, it almost wrecked me, and it wasn't like a max level. It's hard, and it's invisible up into the point it attacks you. So it's like you can't wander around this area. And there's so many dinosaurs out in that area. They do have a new airdrop system, which is kind of interesting. Or like these things that are on the ground, it creates a shield around it, and then you have to kill the dinosaurs before they reach it and destroy it. It's like a mini game in there. But the thing is we lost 2 Rexes doing it because we didn't realize that, okay, there's a yellow version and there's a red version. It started it as a red version, and the first wave just wiped us out and killed all our dinosaurs.
Now, I haven't had a chance to play this yet, and I won't because I'm not going to. Do you think, and by the way, we've got a lot of people in chat agreeing with the Wasteland comments, but do you think that people are a little upset or a little more hypersensitive to this because it is, in fact, ARK's last hurrah? This is it for ARK. If they don't do anything else, which is what they've said, that, I mean, they haven't explicitly said they're not going to do anything else, but they said they're doing 4 DLCs and that's it.
Or three DLCs. Excuse me. The main game and 3 DLCs.
3 DLCs. That's it. Do you think that's maybe part of why people are a little, I'm not going to say pissed off, why people are a little disappointed is this is your grand finale, right? It's like think back a year ago. Like the crappy fireworks display on 4th of July where it's like, that's it.
Okay, think back a year ago though, when we were waiting for another release.
Yep.
And remember how I was saying, they're finally going to put in lore and they're going to do all this. Like, I thought that they were going to do a big change from their regional releases. I learned at that point in time, don't expect any of that. I thought at that time that it would have been awesome if they would have put in more of a quest system, something to kind of take you through the game and make it more real to you. No, that's not what they do. Like it's the same as all the other ARKs. It's just got new stuff, and it's a little more of the world has more depth to it.
From the people I've talked to that have played it, it just seems like it's lackluster. And when your send off is lackluster, that's people's last reactions to your game is that this was kind of lackluster. I mean,
well, and for us it's kind of difficult because we the second that we learned to fly, I think the game changed a lot for us.
Absolutely.
I think we enjoyed that long amount of time where we were on the ground, just like having to hack through it and get dinosaurs. Like that was part of what made it fun for us. But the thing is you never do that a second time. And so none of the games will feel like that first time that we played that.
In the last 30 days, ARK's base game has got 1,800 reviews. 71% of them are positive. And then if then you flip over to the DLC and it's just a little over 60% are positive. So it's going to be interesting to see what the it's been out a week now.
Just under a week.
Yeah. So it'll be interesting to see, I guess, what as it goes forward and people get a little bit further into it, what the thought is. Now, if people are listening and have ARK, where are you guys playing, or how can people play with you?
We're playing on a server that is like some of Barbie's friends, so I don't know if she wants me to say it on here, but come into our Discord, and I think there'd be a link in there, or
Perfect.
just jump in and talk to some people. I just don't know that she wants
of course.
everybody randomly knowing about it. And one thing here, Greenman said something that's good. Greenman Cartoons, he said, you can't recapture that first time playing. This game needs expanding and not rehashing. And the problem is they rehashed it. Because they can't capture that initial experience, they have to create a new experience. And the thing is, they didn't do that. They just kept making more detailed versions of the same, or different versions of the same. And so I think that's the downside of this. They never try to create something truly new. They just created different versions of it every expansion they did after.
It's tough.
Yeah.
I don't really know.
I mean, and that's the thing, is I don't know off the top of my head what they could have done. They, other than I was really hoping that they would create more depth to the world, not have it not be so we don't know anything about what's going on. They did these notes that they leave around, but the thing is they're pictures and there's no words really. Some of them are in Chinese or Japanese. Sorry. Okay, that doesn't help me learn about the story. Like, I'm not learning anything from all these survivor notes. They're just now an accomplishment. You get them and you don't even look at them. They're not telling you a thing. I'd like to know. They should have unfolded over these DLCs, like with the last one, Aberration. Okay, clearly tell how it became an aberration. With this one, clearly tell how it all broke and they hit extinction. Like, there's no place or any point in time where they actually say how it happened. I mean, not that I've seen. There's no clear story telling me anything, and I think that's their big loss. For them, they dropped the ball doing that. I think
it's unfortunate. I think their problem is their game was so good, it was impossible to. It was almost an unwinnable situation. ARK's base game. There were plenty of issues with it, don't get me wrong. Plenty of issues. But their base game was really, really good. In my opinion. And it's blatantly obvious. I mean, we've done current players on ARK every week now for probably 2.5 years, maybe 3 years. And there's always 40 or 50,000 people playing it. They've got a really good game on their hands, and it's almost one of those things where you can't. The bar is already so high. How do you one up that 3 times in a row with DLC? It seemed like the first 2 DLCs, the response was maybe a little bit better, but I'm seeing a lot of negativity around this third one. And again, I don't know if it's because there's really big issues with it, or it's a combination of that and it's the last one. People are a little upset about that. It's it's kind of maybe a little lackluster for the final last hurrah. I'm not really sure, but I have seen a lot of comments even on their Reddit about it being just kind of empty in comparison to their typically really dense maps.
I don't think so. I don't think that's it, though. Okay, so the wastelands are. I mean, as far as...
But they're saying one guy says like 60% of the map is wastelands.
Yes.
So well, then that's that's an accurate
the wasteland.
assumption,
Yeah, the wasteland part is, but the city is incredibly detailed and has... It's almost too dense, the city part, and that's the whole center of the map. The snow biome looks just like, I mean, it's just like the other ones, snow biomes. But the desert's just like the other ones, desert biomes. That's no different. The caves are huge, the underground areas. So I mean, there is a lot there. The wastelands are, as someone kind of said, they are, they match them. I think they kind of wasted that opportunity, because when you're there, you can't tame any of those dinos that have the aberrations. You can't tame the more powerful dinos. Your hunger like goes out of control when you're there. Like, it hurts your stats. You can't live there. And so it's just a big area that I think is kind of wasted. I mean, there's nothing that I think, oh, I have to go out in the wasteland to do this. I haven't seen anything like that. It's just an area you pass over, and it's a huge section of the map. That's a problem.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's ARK. Brian gives it a buy at $19.99, $20.
I mean, yeah. I mean, at that price, especially if you already have the DLC, I mean, then the season pass, you can go get it. It's worth playing if you like ARK, but you have to have a group of friends. You have to have a group of friends to play with. Other than that, I don't know that you'd really enjoy it that much if you don't have people to play with.
I think that's a pretty good wrap up there. All right, real quick, we gotta pick up. I guess we gotta pick up the pace here just a little bit. PUBG had a pretty big announcement this week. This was something that was leaked a couple months ago on, I think it was Korea's game advisory board. You know, in ESRB is the thing in the U.S., PEGI 18 is the thing over in Europe. The Korean video game board put PUBG PS4 out as a pending title with a pending rating, and PUBG confirmed, when was it? I think it was today, that PUBG is coming to the PlayStation 4. And it's actually not that far away. It's less than a month away. December 7th it'll be here, which will be let's see, December 7th is 3.5 weeks away, and it will be in there. There's on
a Friday.
On a Friday, a couple different versions. There's a regular disc version. It's the base game and a pre-order version. There's the Looters Edition, which is a $30. I guess the same thing. There's a physical disc version. Then there's the Looters version, which is an online one. And then there's a Survivors Edition, which is $50, which you get something a little controversial. We'll get into battle points when you buy that one. Then there's the Champion Edition for $60, and they've got their currency listed on here, their Survival Pass, and they're doing something really interesting on the PlayStation 4. Some of the pre-order bonuses are PlayStation exclusive things, like Nathan Drake from the Uncharted, the backpack.
I mean, they can get licensing. I mean, it's worth it for them. I don't hate on that if they can get licensed. You know, if they get special licensing on a PS4, throw it in the game. I understand why they can't put that on an Xbox.
Ellie's backpack from The Last of Us, and a couple of other things that they're exclusively licensing. Without getting into it too much here, Brian, thoughts on pre-ordering? This isn't uncommon, but when you buy the $50 version versus the $30, you get the 20,000 battle points and the 2,300 G coins. Now in PUBG,
they're kind of telling you what $10 is. I mean, $10 is pretty much just over 3,000 G coins is the value of that. So, and those are purely for buying skins and things.
That's the thing. They have done as much as PH bring up Suicide Squad skins. As much as they have, we talked to Brandon at PAX 2 years ago, East, and he said, you know, we're going to try to keep it as base game as possible with skins. We're not going to go to anything crazy. That line has been blurred. But
okay, how about you play? There's a video there you should play.
I will. But in their defense, all of these things are cosmetic. That is one thing you can say they have not moved away on. All of the skins, the 20,000 battle points will not give you any upper hand in the game whatsoever. None whatsoever. You've got to give them credit for that, even if you don't agree with what they're doing.
They're not giving you a gun that you didn't have access to.
Absolutely. So, with that being said, do you have any problem with the battle points being part of a? I mean, essentially, you're paying $30 for the battle points or $20 for the battle points.
No, because personally, I don't care about skins. Yeah. And my biggest concern that I get frustrated with in games is when there's a paid feature that actually gives you a leg up, that gives you an advantage over other players. And that does happen. That's what frustrates me, is when you see something you can buy that gives you something that you normally have to maybe play tons of hours to do, or is only available when you pay extra money. That's where I get frustrated. So this, I don't care if it's 100% cosmetic and people want to pay an extra $10, $20, $30 for purely cosmetic items, you know, go ahead.
Oh yeah, I
More than
agree.
welcome.
So here's the skin video. There's not really anything to play with it, but they teamed up with DC. I'm sure DC paid a pretty penny for this, and they are adding some interesting skins from some characters you may know, Harley Quinn, and the Joker. Now,
Which the Joker looks nothing like like Harley Quinn. They did fairly close to
yeah, she
what
looks
she
good.
actually looks like.
Uh,
The Joker looks nothing like any of the Jokers.
he's just
I've
got a
seen.
white face, yeah, and
Yeah.
green hair.
Yeah, which is kind of interesting. So I mean, this is going pretty far from what you would think of as being a realistic type of a feel.
Is this too far for you?
So yeah, I mean, I've kind of given up on the game. So at this point, I'm not. I don't care as much. But yeah, if I were still into the game and I was still really caring about where it went, yeah, this is beyond. This is just it's silliness at this point. I mean, it's turning into what we ran into with H1Z1.
Now, in their defense, and Brian, I think I'm gonna have to hold you accountable here. This is a license deal with DC Comics and Suicide Squad.
Yeah.
This is a money thing. So at what point do you bend the line for money? And it's almost like an ethical question I'm asking you, and I don't want to turn it into a big ethics conversation. But
Well, I think their players started to drop. The issue is people started playing other games. A lot of really good games and very competitive games have come out. We now have a AAA company that's put out a game that looks very much and even better than PUBG does.
talking about Blackout,
That has, yes, the very similar mechanics, and that's a true competition for them. And so I think that at some point they've got to kind of scrap the whole, all right, I'm sticking to my guns and morals on this, to where now they're in survival mode. And I think, if it keeps them in business, then fine. Now we'll see how the PS4 sales do, but I'm sure that their PC sales have really hurt with some of the different titles that we've seen lately.
yeah, and we've covered PUBG on current players, and their numbers have started going down a little bit. For people that don't remember, when the game came to Xbox One earlier this year, they sold 1 million copies in the first 48 hours. So I don't know what that number will be on the PlayStation, but that's a success. And I'm sure the PlayStation launch will be a success as well. And the company, unless they have just been literally burning piles of cash in their office, they shouldn't have a money problem whatsoever.
No,
but
they shouldn't.
They shouldn't, and they probably don't. We don't have any insider information on it. But it's interesting when you look at a game like Miscreated, for example, and it's our friend Miscreated Carl was in chat a little bit earlier, wishing us a happy 200 episodes. So that's what jumps into my mind. Brian, let's say Marvel comes to Miscreated and says, "Hey, we'll give you X whatever to put a licensed character in the game." I mean, you're talking about business now. Where is that? Yeah. I guess it depends on every game, but where is that? Where it's like a sliding bar. Where is that? I don't know of any company that is going to say, "No, absolutely not. We're going to stick to our guns and we're going to miss out on, however many millions of dollars you're going to pay us to put this in, or however many hundreds of thousands of dollars you're going to pay."
Yeah.
Where is that? That's a really tough thing. And people don't understand that. I mean, people bitch and say, "Oh, well, the skins, I'm not saying you're doing this, but, oh, the skins don't match the original." Well, when DC comes in with a blank check and says, how much is it going to cost to get Harley Quinn and Joker in your game?
Yeah.
I mean, if they wanted to come here and change the name of the podcast, Brian, I don't think it would take that many, probably just maybe 3 zeros, including the cents, and the game is theirs. $10 and we're good to go. So, where is that point? I don't know. So,
Well,
7 Days to Die, Miscreated, name
but
the
the thing
game.
is you got to realize who's the audience that's playing the game. Let's say with Miscreated, you have a hardcore set of people that are playing the game, right? And they have a certain expectations when they play the game of the feel, right? It's got to match a certain feel. If when you play Miscreated, you're walking around the world and it feels realistic, right? There are mutants there, and so it's not totally a real world. But when you walk around, it's made to be realistic. If they turned around and added SpongeBob SquarePants into the game, that would be like, okay, wait a minute, what? Because it's so far removed from what you would expect to be in the game, and it takes you out of that experience that they're delivering. And so I think as long as they can not fully take you out of the experience, I'm kind of okay with PUBG, because if you look at the original movie that this is based on, it was kind of that uh, out there type of a concept. It wasn't totally realistic of what you would see in the world. Um, and so I think they can get away with some kind of odd behavior in it of, all right, let's throw this in there, but there is a limit. They will hit a point where they cannot put something that's so far out of the world that it just doesn't make any sense.
Okay, one more
And
question.
I think this is that line.
One more question for you.
Mhm.
Is, in your opinion, because you've been the big stickler on this, is
Yeah.
there a difference between them adding skins on their own accord, like Fortnite does, with, here's the lollipop, whatever, unicorn pack or whatever nonsense they had there?
Yeah.
Do you put a difference between that and a licensed paid skins added to the game? Do you draw any differences with that, or is it kind of the same in your
I
opinion?
don't care the reason. I mean, this is purely down to the developers making the decision of, is this going to detract from our game? Is this going to detract from because when they originally create these games, they're trying to put across a certain feel. They're trying to give the player a certain experience and put them in a certain state of mind when they play. If they can manage to put whatever in there and not take them out of that experience, then they're fine. But I just there, I think this right here is as far as you can go, because we got to remember, it's not just Harley Quinn. It's all the combinations that people will build where men are wearing skirts and running around with, Harley Quinn hair and whatever, all these other things that they've thrown in there. Like, it's just not Harley Quinn's running around. It's the crazy looking characters that they build from these pieces that they're handing them at this moment. That is what frustrates me.
Yeah.
Is because they lose total control and it turns into that stupid googly eyed thing that we saw in H1Z1 where the eyeball is on the little spring, those googly eyes.
Oh, yes.
Just the ugliest, the ugliest picture you could possibly put together. And they were able to do it because of each little skin that they put out. And so that's what they need to be looking at, is what can people make from this? And because it's not so much the Harley Quinn that I would get frustrated about. It's okay. There you go. PH posts the perfect example. I don't want that running around in the game. It just.
Can you send me a link to that?
Yeah.
So.
And this is probably a more tame. All right, I'll just put it in the show notes.
That would be helpful.
All right, so I'll put it at the top. So that is that's even probably somewhat tame compared to what people will be able to build.
Well,
but
that is her. That's her.
Yeah,
full
but
outfit.
it's on a guy.
It's on a guy, but that's her full outfit.
Yeah, that's her full outfit. But
Yeah.
still, they'll take that and they're going to mix other pieces in with it, and it's just going to be like, okay, does that match the game that we're going for here? I can understand them putting leather outfits and having something that's edgy, but this is beyond. I've never met well, okay, we went to PAX. Never mind.
Jesus.
Anyways,
I don't
know. I just that's what I worry about. Is this is just the beginning. If they keep doing this, people are just going to put more and more freakish outfits together.
Yeah, I mean, because what ends up happening is then you end up with creatures like I'm trying to think of like a 7 Days to Die character that we had or something like that. You end up with some crazy stuff like that. Ah, here's a screenshot I'm looking for. You end up with a guy looking like this in your game, and you're trying to figure you're trying to figure out what's going on in here.
Yeah, it's like, who thought that was a good idea?
I mean, I thought it was a great idea. We had a good time with it. So, but no, but it's I do draw a distinction, and this part I disagree with you. I draw the distinction between them adding skins at their own accord and somebody coming to them flaunting cold hard cash and then putting it in the game. I don't know why.
Thing is, are they drawing a line? Are they saying here?
But here's the
here's
thing.
the guidelines that we put.
Yeah, but I mean, come on, Brian. You've been in business long enough. You've got guidelines and you've got rules. But somebody flaunts some big money at you. I have no idea how much a deal like that is worth. Somebody flaunts some big money at you. You know, now we're talking about. Is it illegal? No. Okay, so do we? How much do we want to bend our ethics line? I mean, I don't know. I don't think any of us are. I don't think anybody on the internet, frankly, is qualified to make that determination. Besides, probably upper management at PUBG Corp that said, "Hey, yes, we're going to take this money, put this stuff in the game. I don't care."
Well, and I think for them, they saw the success that has come out of the mobile version, where I think that was a play test of what are people willing to do. And I think that softened everybody to the concept of having crazy skins.
Yeah.
And so now I think we're just going to see what we see on the mobile version. I think we're going to see on the PC and the console versions at this point on. So
yeah, for people that haven't been watching the show, Brian I had to talk Brian off jumping out of our hotel room at PAX East when they changed the parachute to the purple Twitch parachute.
That's how
Brian was going to, I woke up in the middle of the night and Brian was hanging off the balcony. He said, I'm going to jump. Even though we were on the first floor, you know, he's going to jump.
I mean, that shows you how far we've come. That shows you how far we've come to where I was like, man, that purple parachute's just going too far.
The 7-day purple parachute.
Now we have Harley Quinn running around in PUBG. So
what a world! What a time to be alive.
My morals have slowly degraded over time.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's PUBG. Again, it'll be here on the PS4 just about 3.5 weeks, and you can check it out. It's $30 for the base version of it. So yeah, if you're a PUBG fan, maybe we can get some keys. I'd like to play it on the PS4. I think that'd be fun. Yeah. Contact our buddy Dano, see if he can hook us up with some keys. All right. Half game giveaway. We're about halfway through.
Yeah, I'll get it. Let's go. There's a video. I don't know if you want to play that right here. Kind of interesting, but for Sea of Thieves.
Yeah. How long is said video? Oh, it's
just like a couple minutes.
Okay. Sea of Thieves. We haven't talked about it in a while. They did their big. They did their interesting game launched, and you either loved it.
It was part of the subscription, and it was also part of the Xbox. What's
Pass
that subscription? Game Pass. Yep.
Yeah, and it was one of these you either loved it or you didn't kind of thing. So here's a quick video from them, and if I can find my screenshot, and here it is. We'll be back.
You came here for something new. The spirit of competition runs through your veins. And who am I to disappoint? I introduce to the Sea of Thieves, the Arena! In your crew and earn the respect of your rivals. Together, compete for glory!
All right, Sea of Thieves doing their thing. I prefer Black Wake, which is the PC kind of equivalent to Sea of Thieves. Well, it's not the equivalent, because they're very different games.
They're both in the ocean,
but they're similar concepts. Base game is the same
Well, and
concept.
remember also ARK, that new one that they were teasing that kind of leaked out on the internet. That is very similar to what we just saw.
Yeah. Now, if you remember when we first talked about Sea of Thieves, to remind everybody, this was the game. The engine that they're using for Sea of Thieves is for what they're doing with water in Sea of Thieves is incredible from a game development standpoint. I mean, it's nuts what they're doing with water. The swimming is crazy. It's it's very highly rendered water,
and that's what they licensed to PUBG as well, if I remember correctly. They actually,
I think they did for their boat.
Licensed that to PUBG, and we're using it on there.
So just to remind people of that. So if you're a Sea of Thieves fan, coming out in soon TM 2019, you can give the arena a try.
All right, so we'll go and let's start the giveaways. This will be a 60-point raffle, so exclamation point giveaway in chat. And what we'll do this time, this is actually compliments of Musty, who sent me some keys.
Oh, cool.
We're going to be giving away a copy of The Long Dark, which is an excellent survival game. To kind of match into our 200th episode, we're going to give away a true survival game. This is one of the most true survival games.
It's about time, right? 200 episodes, finally time to start giving away survival games.
This is one of the most true survival games out there. And so if you're looking at it, it has good ratings. It's been out since 2017, and it's very well done. And this is something that they've really added a lot of content to. And if you've seen people play it like when it first released, it's a very different game now. So I'd encourage you to try it out. And it is a very, very fun game.
Greenman is wondering if you have an 8-bit side scroller that you're also
I probably do
giving away
somewhere.
I'm sorry, I just had to get the jab in there.
Yeah, thanks.
I would love to know if somebody has got some free time, would you go back and look at how many games we've given away and how much? It's got to be at this point probably thousands of dollars. MSRP probably $1,000, close to $1,000. It's got to be over $1,000, right?
Yeah, I don't know.
We used to give away 2
Maybe.
a show.
Yep.
For weeks.
Some AAA games.
Yeah. Okay. So let's transition over to Miscreated, who went a little stir crazy on Twitter GIFs this week. GIFs as in animated.
This is all teasing the 1.0.
Yeah, animated videos, not GIFs with a T, a GIF. And there's a whole list of screenshots here, Brian, and some of them are animated. Can you walk us through what some of these things are and what we're looking at?
All right. So are you going in order?
Yep. Yeah, I'm ready.
Okay. So this first one, we got a water purifier. So they're giving examples of some of the new, I guess, tech that's going to be coming in, or new things that you can get access to. And this first one's going to be a water purifier. There you go.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So we got a water collector. So you're on the.
Oh, I'm sorry.
All right. So I was like, are we doing this in order? And he pulls up a different one.
Hold on. No, that's the wrong one. Here,
all right, we got it. There you go. That's the right one. Okay, thanks. Perfect. We got this
on Chrome,
100 episodes in, and we got the seamless.
On Chrome, they all just say Miscreated on TWI, and then Chrome truncates the rest of it. So,
nice.
Well,
it's fine.
We'll get to it. Don't worry.
All right, so here's an example of a water purifier, which I enjoy when you have to go and actually find pieces and then build something. So here they got a propane gas tank. Looks like something from a barbecue grill, and kind of holding up the tank, and you're heating it, and it's actually purifying water for you. So they're going to be creating it. Now, they haven't given a ton of details. This is all stuff they're hinting at. And Miscreated Carl in chat, he's saying he made this. So he can give any kind of internal information about it.
Bad idea to say that in the chat. Get ready for the criticisms.
Okay, so on here, they are adding more components to the survival of gathering food, getting water.
Mm-hmm.
We showed last week the water pump.
Yeah.
Having a world that is more dynamic, that is polluted. We saw with some of the effects, they're going to have contamination coming to the world, and you have to get to shelter from radiation, and then have different kinds of weather. Like it'll be really interesting to see some of the new features that they're putting into 1.0. So that was the water purifier, And then they are also adding some new weapons. Actually, you can pull up that water collector. We'll jump ahead since it's kind of
It's same family, right?
Yep. So then they're also having a water collector. So at your base, it has a water bucket and some tarp.
Got a bad memory. Water collectors
Yep.
and ye old H1Z1.
Yep. Yeah. And so on here, you'll be able to gather that water and then you'll be able to purify it. And so it's just more of the survival aspects are being brought into this.
Mhm.
Be interesting to see how this, since you would think this would be with a base, right?
Yeah.
They haven't truly said how that is going to work. And my personal guess has been that they're going to have building claiming. It was what I said, right? I haven't heard too many people say that that's not true, but I think that probably be more of what happens is you can claim a base, a building. You'll be able to set up a water collector outside and then, do different things around it. So
here's the real question with the water collector. Will it only collect water when it rains? Because in most games where there's a water collector, it's just a time thing. Over time, rain or now most games don't have rain, but Miscreated's got a very extensive weather system.
No, knowing how they work, I think that they will.
So I think that would be kind of interesting. Instead of it just being like every 40 minutes you generate X number of water or whatever it is, would it base itself on the actual weather? I don't know. That's the kind of
I bet you that it will require it to rain. I bet you it will require it to rain to gather a little bit, but then that'll hopefully then you'll have consistent raining happening at least every once in a while.
Yeah.
So, then it comes down to that if it needs to rain on a consistent basis at that point. So,
okay. So we got those two.
All right. And so guns. Then now they have some additional weapons. Go and pull one up and then I'll see where you're at.
I'm in order now. Don't worry. I figured it all out. Have no fear, Brian.
All right. So they have the M9A1. So this is a 9mm. And this is one of the new weapons. You can see it's got great detail.
Yep. Looks real good.
Yep. And so that'll be in the world and a little more variety. They have some weapons in there, but they're definitely adding some more variety of weapons now. Also a machete. There's two views of that. I don't know if you want to pull one up and then pull the other one up. Oh, that one's moving. Okay.
Yeah.
So this is kind of a decorated, would you call that a machete?
That is, it's a machete.
It's still a machete. Mm-hmm. Okay. So it's a Damascus steel skin machete. And it's got a lot of metal engraving and things on it. Looks very nice still. And then there's another clip that kind of shows.
Oh, I don't know if I have the other one.
Right below it.
Here we go.
And this is the more generic machete.
Okay.
So this one doesn't have the engraving in the blade.
Yeah, and a tree stump.
And you can see there it actually shows the stats on it. So that does 40 damage, shows its weight, what the bleed chance is, and then it's an edged weapon is the type. So it kind of gives you an idea of what it's going to do. Another thing is go ahead and pull up. They're adding a concept of hunting to this. So you'll actually be able to go and gather meat
and cook it.
And then you'll cook the meat. And so that's another, just bringing it back to survival.
Very H1Z1-y.
Cook it on a barbecue. Yep.
This is literally what you used to do. Find barbecues in, Pete, Pleasant Valley, or Cranberry.
Run around with the bow and arrow that you made from your shirt and a stick.
Yeah, absolutely. That's how every good H1Z1 spawn started. So that's a cool feature that I don't know, I appreciate.
Well, and that's the thing is in H1Z1 we'd always go and gather and create fuel from the fat. It'll be interesting to see what other stuff they're going to have branch from that.
Yep.
And then they're also adding a new rifle.
It's very futuristic.
This is a CX8 Storm. This one does 49 damage, 360 rate of fire, which I don't know if that's bullets per minute, probably. Or I doubt that's bullets per second.
Knowing how
pretty
sparse
fast.
ammo is in Miscreated,
Yeah,
if you're
I would
shooting
hope it. I hope it's bullets per minute.
360 bullets a second, I mean,
Yeah, it's like I've been gathering for a week,
yeah, you've
and then all gone in 1 second.
you've invested your IRA in Miscreated bullets, and it's just all gone.
Yeah, and this one's 20 rounds is what it'll do per magazine, right?
Yeah.
And it's
45
45
ACP.
rounds.
Yep.
So that'll be a new rifle. So that's some of the variety. They've been kind of putting these out over time.
Yeah, but this is the first time I Miscreated has posted. They've posted their fair share of things on social media, but from what I remember, this is a lot. All this stuff is in the last week, so they're really getting ready for 1.0.
They're doing a big thing for 1.0 to where it should be a big. And I'm hoping that this works like it did for Conan.
Yeah,
Conan Exiles was an excellent example of this, of them doing a launch and putting in enough content to where people came back and they're like, "Oh, this is great." And I think that they could do that with this, because the map on Miscreated is beautiful.
Yep,
they've got a beautiful world, and what we ran into was we really struggled with the multiplayer aspects of it, of dealing with a large clan, just because the infrastructure was not there for a large clan. We couldn't properly make bases and really maintain the number of people that we had. Which
was what, 8 to 12 people running, probably?
Yeah, we'd have 8 to 12 people running around at one time. And the issue is when you do that and you have no storage and the base is gone every time you log in, you couldn't maintain it. It was just people running around on their own. So we couldn't get that kind of group atmosphere that we were hoping for. So I'm hoping that, some of the different changes they're doing with this will address that and make it to where it works better with a lot of players.
Yeah. Well, so I'm hoping they can pull a Conan. I think Conan is it should be the standard for how you can reinvent a title that had over time has a dwindling player base, just because that's what happens over time with these games, especially online games, multiplayer games. You got to keep everything fresh and hot or people don't play. And I hope that they can pull a Miscreated, who's still, even though the numbers are lower, they still have I think they quadrupled their player base, stagnant now from where it was pre their big release, which is excellent. That does not happen. We've covered so many games that
with Conan
released. Yeah, Conan. They tripled what their player base used to be when there was no new content, which is really cool. Well,
and if you look at Miscreated, it's the closest thing to Just Survive.
Absolutely, it is.
That we could. It's the best hope we would have of rekindling that experience out there at the moment. I can't think of you can't do it with ARK because of the flying and it wasn't the same,
and the dinosaurs.
Right? The dinosaurs. I mean, but as far as there wasn't a way that we could combat a large clan. Yeah, a competing clan in ARK. In Just Survive, we were able to, with our sheer numbers, we were able to, and just outplaying them.
Running 22 players deep, you can overtake any group.
We could take out any Chinese hackers that you could throw at us. Yeah, and we did. And the thing is, with ARK, we learned that no matter what you do, no matter how much you play, no matter how smart you play, because of the drastic difference between the top level and any other level below that, they could instantly kill all of you. And that's what they did. And that's not a very fun feeling when you're playing. With Just Survive, I think we found that, we could do there were more than one strategy to survive, and we would do it. Other games, they don't have that. And so hopefully they can kind of capture that with us.
Let me read a couple comments from chat here real quick, Brian. PH says, clan management and permission system is everything. Totally agree on that. And then Fat Broken Ugly says, if Miscreated had a storage and a decent base building, I'd probably uninstall everything else, I think is what he's saying. He'd stop playing everything else. Until you just said that, it really didn't strike me that this absolutely is the closest to what our group is looking for, but it's got the big, it always is, to say the base building was not good is an understatement. The base building system was terrible for a large group. It was unusable. So if they can sort that stuff out,
Yep.
it seems like this, you know, it seems like there could be a huge flock of people jumping to this game. We've tried. I mean, nobody can say that we haven't tried our damnedest. We have tried on probably a half a dozen occasions. We went all in on Miscreated. We decided on a Friday night we were going to play this for the next 2 or 3 days, and we gave it our all. And we kept running into the storage and the base building issue, which they have worked on some of the storage issues, and we're hoping 1.0 fixes some of the base building issues.
Miscreated Carl, he's bringing up, they did add more storage space in one of the previous updates.
Yep.
And now they have the global storage, which uses the Steam inventory system, I guess you could say, to be able to store items and to recover those. And you need a coin that's based on playing, which I'm okay with. If you have to play to be able to do advanced things. But for us, the biggest thing was having that base storage that we could go and a permission system is a huge thing, so that I don't have to be on all the time. Everybody knows in H1Z1, we bought a copy of the game and we called it builder account because it managed the building, because they didn't have true proper permissions and they didn't have all this stuff. So people could log into that account.
Do we have access to that Steam account anymore? I don't even know what. Brian, I'm glad you do.
So we had an account that people would log into whenever they were making the base, because they had no permission system, so that different players in our guild could log in and actually build a base. It was so ridiculous. We bent over backwards trying to make that work.
We tried, baby. We tried. There ain't no doubt about it. So yeah, I'm looking forward to the 1.0. I'm really looking forward to it. I hope it can re-kickstart a player base for that game.
Yep.
All right.
Yep. So we'll see. And I haven't seen the exact date. Let me see if he might be able to tell us if they've announced it. Miscreated 1.0 release date is, let's see. Yeah, they announced that they're 1.0 on October 12th, but I don't see their actual date. Well, I don't know.
We can
squeeze it out of him before chatter.
Well, he says this year. So
this year. Okay. So it'll be in the next month and a half.
Yeah. So it'll be good. Nice Christmas time release. Give something for people to do while they got a couple weeks or a couple, slow weeks at work or whatnot. That'll be good.
Yeah.
Speaking of releasing, Brian, we got some interesting news from our friends over at Dead Matter, and it's a delay, which isn't surprising. I
mean, it is understandable, and part of this, so there's a couple different reasons. One thing was they had a number of people from the original team that left when they announced their first delay. So they went through and they found, they've got that part recovered. They've got additional people making the game, doing all that. I think there were some issues with the hurricane, which you understand.
I do, and I don't. They're delaying this by 8 to 10 weeks, according to their post, and they're blaming this on tornadoes that knocked them without power for a couple days. I mean,
they're saying that Ottawa ended up getting hit by 6 tornadoes, so left some of their people without power for a couple days.
The city of Wilmington, North Carolina, was in very bad shape after the Hurricane Florence here just a couple weeks ago. And I'll be damned if I didn't have my radio station back on the air in 2 days. I mean, 8 to 10 weeks was just not an option. So I get it. It's a whole series of events, but it's just, I don't like stuff
one
like
thing
that.
Is their art guy moved, and so he wasn't doing stuff for 2 weeks. Okay, that I can understand that'll knock some stuff back.
Yes.
It's just all these things combined. It's hard when you set a hard date. And here's probably why Miscreated is not doing it. They're not saying, oh, we're definitely, Thanksgiving weekend we're releasing. They're not doing that.
But here's my problem.
Some issue can like these come up.
Here's my problem. We've talked about now, Q4 of 2018 was when original backers were supposed to get access. We are well within Q4 of 2018. They are now deciding that they're going to delay it by 8 to 10 weeks. It's the timing. Red Dead Redemption delayed their release, if you remember, back 9.5 months before the game came out, 10 months before the game came out. They said, hey, you know, we're going to delay it by 2.5 months or something like that. But to wait until you're halfway through Q4, and frankly, you're running out of time because it's freaking November 13th, and then go, we're going to have to delay the game by 8 to 10 weeks. Nobody likes that. Nobody likes the last minute delay because, you know, and I can understand things happen last second, but 8 to 10 weeks is not last second. You don't one day realize, oh man, we're 10 weeks out of schedule. Right? I mean, I don't see how that happens overnight unless there's just no management keeping track of things. But I don't think that's the case.
It's a small team. I think this is kind of the downside of Kickstarters.
Absolutely.
Is people, when they do a Kickstarter, first of all, people are like, well, I want this in a year.
Yep.
Okay. Well, you're starting from
nothing.
Pretty much having nothing to now you have a hard date of a year on something that to do properly takes a decent amount of time.
Oh yeah.
That's the tough part of having people involved in the alpha process and the creation process is you could be working on a game for 2 years silently in the background. And then in 6 months be like, oh, you know, announce it and bam, we got something out for you to try. Well, they're not sitting, you didn't have people sitting there harping you for those 2 years, you know, oh, okay, when's it going to be out? When's it going to be out? You know, here, I think they set an overly ambitious initial date. I think that it was definitely overly ambitious saying that they were going to be out Q4 this year in the first place. And I think now they're just coming into more, but the thing is they could have released in that time. I think the game that they originally talked about, I think they could have released. I think that they've made the goal to make a better game than what they kickstarted the concept of.
Because people wanted a more advanced game.
Yeah, people want it. And so they're putting in the extra time and effort to do it. If you want that, then you could either have one of those crappy games that we've seen pushed out from a Kickstarter that are just, you'll never play again in your life. Or, you know, there's a chance that this could be an awesome game if you just give them the time to make it. And I understand where he's at. I mean, it sucks, but you know, when he gets it out, he'll get it out. As long as he's consistently working on it and making progress, I am okay with it.
I think you're being realistic.
In a year.
What was that?
I didn't expect a game in a year.
Okay.
Not a good game. I mean, that's just unrealistic to be able to create that much content in that time.
Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah, I think you're being level-headed with that. I mean, that doesn't seem unrealistic.
I mean, I kickstarted this. I paid for it.
So you're invested.
So I'm invested in this. I'm telling you, from the person who kickstarted this, I'd rather have the game that takes 2 years to make than one that's pushed out and has no content, because I know I'll never play that game again.
That's true. I just the fear with people is you delay, and then it's we're never going to release the game kind of thing. And that's I mean, I'm not saying that's going to happen, but that it has happened. The delay. We're actually not going to be able to finish.
And these guys made mods before. They've never made a game from scratch. They were making a mod that was based on another game. And so I think that that's something they're going through, all the learning process of how to do this. It's not like they hired on somebody from Epic, you know, which would have eaten up their whole budget. Like, they're learning how to do this in the budget they were given and giving the best game that they can possibly make in that budget.
There you go.
And seeing the progress they made and seeing the quality work that they put out for screenshots, I'm fully confident that that is what they're doing.
Well, good. I'm looking forward to it.
So, yeah, I think it'll be a fun game. How it works with multiplayer and all that, that'll be interesting to see.
Lots of unknowns.
Yeah, I mean, they're making a beautiful game. We'll see how it performs and how it feels playing multiplayer. But they had a mod before. We've seen generally mods, things that came from mods, tend to be successful because it's already been play tested. DayZ, PUBG, all these things were based off of mods that were play tested. And people learned.
A game where they said promised a whole bunch of things and have delayed those things now for 6 years.
But see, DayZ itself was fun.
Yeah, it was great.
If they would have released it in a reasonable amount of time and made something that actually resembled the mod even, it would have been fun and people would have loved it. The thing is, they've struggled to provide them what was on the level of the mod.
Yeah. Well,
so that's the issue with them.
Time will tell, Brian. let's talk about, while we're talking about survival games. Let's jump into a SCUM update here real quick. This is their Wild Hunter update. They did a whole bunch of bug fixes, as well as a whole bunch of quality of life changes. Some of the things in here, they now allow admins to set things like weather, bullet trajectory, different things to do with drone access. They've done a whole bunch of optimization with NVIDIA, so the game should run a little bit smoother. This is just this is one of their hot fixes they did on.
The bug fix is pretty much to that Hunters update that they did. So they had the Wild Hunters update, which added a bunch of new stuff. And this is pretty much all bug fixes for that release.
And a lot of QOL stuff as well.
Yep. So this is them kind of fixing whenever you make big changes. If you don't play test it a lot, this will happen. Also, you notice that in the NVIDIA GeForce optimization page, so if you have the GeForce program, this is now listed in there, so you can optimize it based on your video card to get the best settings that you can for whatever video card you happen to have.
There you go. So check it out.
All right. One thing, let's go ahead and talk a little bit about a game that is on our website. And
you mean infectionpodcast.com?
Yes. And if you look at the top, it says 7 Days to Die has not released an update. And when I say update, that is an actual version release in 525 days.
Yes, Griffin, they are paying us to sit here and harass, bash them.
Could you put a counter on there for our last update, just to remind people how long it's been since we released Alpha 16?
It's cat's out of the bag. Sorry.
Yeah, they pay us big money for that.
Yeah, hey, a couple, right, 2 zeros. That's all that matters.
Nick would take 50 cents and we'll post something on the website.
Hey, I mean, start throwing. I was looking for some change. Start throwing quarters at me. We'll see what happens.
So let's go. They actually put out some screenshots of things that they're going to be putting out in this upcoming release. And so, first of all, they got some buildings. Okay. This first one is the paper mill. And I mean, I like the detail. I mean, if you got to put this in perspective of 7 Days to Die, these buildings actually have some detail and look pretty good for a 7 Days to Die building compared to the flat graphic plant that's next to it.
Yeah. Plant.jpg. Yeah.
Yeah. That's set next to it. So this is one of the new buildings that they're doing. And personally, I think that looks pretty good. This is all randomly. The other thing is, this is all randomly generated as far as placement and everything. So I think they do a pretty good job of putting these buildings and having them seem, they're not like where they're supposed to be.
Hold on a second. Are you sitting here on this program and criticizing graphics like this? No, you're criticizing you're criticizing this broccoli. Oh, this isn't the broccoli one. That's a different picture. You're criticizing graphics like this on the show?
I mean, yeah. The thing is the game isn't that big. You can't tell me that you're trying to save space and that a painting in there has to be 8 pixels by 8 pixels. I mean, maybe it's 16 by 16. It looks like they made the graphics 16 by 16 resolution for those pictures. I don't understand that. I don't understand.
Like, this is some of what their other buildings look like. They're not.
That's how it looked like before.
They're not impressive. They're very blocky. Yeah. They're very low poly count, very low resolution.
So that's when I say, like, this new building looks pretty good. It looks good based on what you're seeing on the screen right now compared to the new paper mill. Like, the new paper mill looks like an actual building for the most part.
Yeah, looks great.
So this is a big step up for them. And they're doing this to a number of things throughout the map. So another one they call it the Shotgun Factory, but I think it's like Shotgun Messiah Factory. I don't know if that's based on, this one is definitely a little more blocky. You could tell they were saving.
Very blocky. The texture on the side of the building looks terrible.
Yeah, you can tell they're saving. Like, when you look at their tower, you know that they're trying to save pixels or polygons when they make them square, which I understand. That's your goal. but you don't want it to be obvious that you're trying to save polygons.
Does that can anybody in the chat tell me how large this game is installed? Does anybody have it installed? Because I mean, it doesn't appear like, I mean, I don't know about you, but the new ARK DLC is how many gigabytes? Somebody said 170 gigabytes or something like that.
Something like that. Yeah.
I mean,
install
170 gigs. I mean, clearly space and size of games is not like a 70 gigabyte game is not crazy.
Okay. You want to know how big this is?
Let's hear it.
It's not even 4 gigabytes.
Well, okay. So there's your problem. Why don't they make the game 70 gigabytes and call it a day?
Because then they'd have to actually make high resolution graphics.
I mean, this just doesn't seem like it's a problem. When ARK is literally ARK's installed is 265 gigabytes with the base game in this DLC. I mean, come on.
I just feel like they're so concerned about space. Like,
why?
Your game could be over 4 gigabytes. Like, make one POI 4 gigabytes. I don't care.
I have never criticized a game based off of the size. I mean, I've never even looked at I don't believe I've ever looked at how large a game is on Steam before I've purchased it. I guarantee you I haven't, because that would be ridiculous.
Yeah. It's just crazy to me that they cut corners so much, because the game is fun.
Oh, the game's great.
This game is 100% mechanics. Definitely not graphics that make this game popular. The mechanics in this game are really, really fun. Imagine if they just improved the graphics a little bit.
I play golf with your friends every once in a while. That game is larger than 7 Days to Die. It's a mini golf game, a virtual mini golf game, and it's larger than 7 Days to Die.
Yep. And so I don't know what their goal, like where the decision came from to do this, but
what
hopefully
engine is
this
this?
update is much bigger. This is built off of Unity, if I remember correctly.
Is it something to do with that? I mean, what about Unturn's on Unity, isn't it? No.
It's not that though. It is not. It's Unity.
But I'm saying Miscreated, not Miscreated. Unturn's a pretty big game from what I remember.
Yeah, but he did it specifically in that style.
Yeah.
So the thing is it's not Unity that's making it look like this.
No, I know. That's what I'm saying. So there really is no excuse.
They're creating. Yeah, it's a full-fledged graphics engine. It's just them making things in super low res. I mean, when you see their building blocks, they're just textures on a block, because they make it so that you can crush stuff and build it. You know, that is difficult, right? Things have to be somewhat blocky.
Mm-hmm.
You got to think, they generally don't have rounded edges ever in this game. But look at the parking thing. At the bottom of that is a circle, so they can do it.
Yeah, Fat Broken Ugly saying Unturned is 4.6 gigabytes. So Unturned is larger and is 8-bit.
Yeah, it's 8-bit squares.
And it's larger than Miscreated. Which is why we end up with interesting paintings or signs that are unreadable.
They fixed a lot of their trees in the upcoming release. They've been adding more detailed graphics, so I'm hoping they at least double the install size just by those alone. I mean, it'd be hard not to.
Yeah. I'm trying to see if I have any other like this, like stuff like this, I find unacceptable. Let me see if I can open this. Oh crap! I did not mean to save as. This is I don't find that acceptable.
Yeah, I mean, look at the super low.
The supply is. If I walked across the room right now, I don't think I'd be able to read that. It is so distorted.
Yeah.
That I just don't find to be acceptable.
And there's no reason for it.
No.
You can't tell me that their graphics guys are actually making it at 16 by 16 and blowing it up. Impossible. Why would they bother?
Next,
this is not a pixel game.
When they release, we need to take our background and shrink it down to like 120 by 120 and then blow it back up to 1080p. And just have that be our double box shot. Just like it just does not make any sense.
Yeah. So
Nisco's saying it looks like Half-Life. It does. It looks like Half-Life, which came out in what, 2003? I mean, 2004.
Yeah.
Christ, I don't know. Now, Firebomb is saying install size doesn't have a thing to do with fun. 7 Days to Die is fun. Stop bitching. 7 Days to Die is fun, but the game looks like garbage.
Awesome. The mechanics are awesome. The thing is that the thing that they could do to make it even better as far as a game is put some time into saying, okay, graphics matter.
I don't know if we asked Nelson Sexton from Unturned when he was on, but when people look at his game, their initial reaction is I don't want to play Minecraft shooter game.
Minecraft survival game, yeah.
Because you look at the game and your initial impression is this game is a block game. Now, turns out he's got a super hardcore survival game in Unturned. Crazy survival. It was like really hardcore. But people make their impressions on what the game looks like. And that's why he's redoing it now in Unreal. He's rebuilding the whole game. So it's just crazy. I don't get it. It seems like I'm not a game developer, but it just doesn't seem to be that complicated. And then they release images like this, which look fantastic.
Yeah. So
there's more resolution in this than this entire freaking building. I mean,
they're probably the same poly count, which would be scary.
Yeah. I mean, look at how detailed this stuff is. It won't be rendered in the game like this. But look at the detail that's put into this.
What they're creating them at. That's the level they're creating them.
Yeah, that's an incredibly high level of detail.
So good.
Even in game they look pretty good.
Yeah, so that shows you this new Alpha 17. There's more of the look that the Alpha 17 will have. If you can remember how it looked before. There's an actual Alpha 7. Yeah, so there's before.
Yeah.
And there's after. They've done big improvements, so that's why I'm excited.
That lamp looks really good. It looks smooth. It doesn't look like a block.
They actually have, because before they would have made a square block lamp. That's what they would have done.
Like a wall sconce, which you can't see it. The wall sconce, which is like just a thing that light comes from. Yeah, Nisco, RTX off, RTX on. There you go. Pretty good. That's pretty good with Nisco. So I don't know.
Okay, so they have those medical supplies.
Yep.
And then another thing that they put out a notice about more is about Telltale, because you got to remember on PS4, if I remember correctly,
and
they
Xbox.
had some licensing, and Xbox, they had licensing for the Walking Dead characters in the console versions of the.
Telltale was also publishing the console version, from what I understand.
Yeah, and so they had put like Michonne and they had put the different Walking Dead characters into the game. Now with Telltale pretty much going belly up, that caused some issues with them having these things in their game. And so, as they said, there was no warning to this happening. And so they went into action right away. And they said that they pretty much terminated the licensing agreement with Telltale. And so this severed Telltale's rights to any future updates or sequels of the 7 Days to Die franchise. And they said in the weeks following, they've been working in good faith with the remaining management at Telltale to regain control over the console versions and allow us to provide support and updates on those platforms. I'm assuming this might play a little bit into the delay as well, because now all of a sudden they're responsible for the console one.
They're not. They're saying they do not have the rights to even use the console version of the game, which means they have essentially lost 2 of the 3 versions of their game.
Well, but the thing is if they're going to continue supporting this, they're going to have to figure that out.
They're going to have to. They need to get the right side over.
Failed, but they've been trying, and it's incredibly frustrating. But they're pursuing whatever options they can to try to do this. And right now, they're committed to their fans and continue to support 7 Days to Die on PC. They're also going to aid console players as much as they can in the future, but so far, unless they can get full rights and access back from the console version, it'll be interesting to see what happens to that.
I mean, they literally I could see a situation here where somebody else has to republish. You would have 2 versions of 7 Days to Die existing, a pre Alpha 17 non-updated version from
It's kind of like
Telltale.
H1Z1 at the moment.
Yeah, kind of like H1Z1.
They have one person doing their console, one person doing their PC.
And PH making the comment that you did. Maybe that's what's delaying the update. If that's
Well,
what's
I don't know if
delaying,
they're waiting. I don't know if they're waiting to get this settled because they can't really release on this update to the console because there's nobody making it.
But
there's
if that-
nobody preparing.
but if that's what's delaying the PC update, that pisses me off beyond belief. Because I can't imagine anybody's playing this on the console.
Yeah, I don't know. I've seen people do it before, but there's probably a very small percentage.
Let's throw some let's throw some Infection Podcast stats at it. My stats say nobody's playing it on the PC. You can take that to the bank. Or excuse me, nobody's playing on the console. Nobody's playing on the console, not on the PC.
And then I put a link to the developer's diary. This is kind of where I check to see current status of Alpha 17. One thing they do is they say no release date has been estimated. You know, they're fixing some issues still, but they do put in here some changes. So at the very bottom, you can see there's 3 things. All harvestable plants are now harvested by hitting with free hand instead of using the E key. Harvested crops return to the first stage as a baby plant and regrow. And then seeds are very rare. So they're putting in some of that planting and crops type of thing. So that's some of the changes that they put in at the beginning of this month. So within the last 2 weeks. Other than that, it was a month ago that they put any updates to this.
There you go.
So it's keeping you up to date. And so I still know here's an exact date of when it's going to be coming out. So hopefully that'll be
Yes.
within the next 2 months.
Yeah, hopefully we'll get that. All right, I'd say we probably got time for one more thing, one more topic. Let's see. Well, we can cover actually a couple quick things here. Let's cover a quick Conan update. They've got a real quick one here. This is an update they did. This is their post Halloween patch update, and there's a couple things in here. They've added an event log. They've just made some changes to the event log. So if somebody's dismantling things or doing different things, they've just added a whole bunch of more things to the event log. Like when an item gets deleted by the trash dispenser thing that automatically, freaking Windows sounds. When something gets deleted in the world, when it's sitting there too long, they've added stuff like that to their event log. They ended the Halloween event. Wells should now be refilling as intended. There was an issue with that. And then they fixed an issue where having several of buff/debuff icons on the screen will cause a lot of lag. So there are a couple things there on their post-Halloween PC patch for Conan Exiles. Real quick, I do want to cover this very quickly. Fortnite has reached a license deal with the NFL, which is the largest nonprofit in the United States. People that don't know, the NFL is a 501(c)(3) nonprofit.
501(c)(3).
501(c)(3) profit, correct? Nonprofit, and they've reached a deal with them where they're adding a whole bunch of NFL skins to the game. Not just football skins, actual licensed NFL skins. So Cowboys, Patriots, Steelers, Giants, all the NFL teams. Carolina Panthers are in there, the Bears. Talk about a licensing deal. And talk about the NFL knowing where to put some money into. I mean, this is genius for the NFL.
And I mean, people are going to be buying the skin that's for their favorite team.
I'm already seeing full teams playing. Like random people are finding that they're on the same team in game, and then they're just a whole group of them are getting together and taking screenshots. Be like, oh look, we found the offensive line for whatever.
Yeah. Well, I mean, whatever it takes for them to be successful.
Well, I mean, and this is again another situation where I'm sure the NFL came to Epic and said, "Here's a check. Tell us how much of this. Tell us how much this costs."
Yeah. So one other, we don't have very much time.
No.
I think we should. There was a huge thing. I think we should play this video for ROE because
Oh,
they did a lot of changes, a lot of patches, but they did put out one big update.
Uh-huh.
And speaking of kind of licensing and putting out new things, they're doing the whole following of like a season pass type of thing that we've been seeing a lot of other companies be successful with.
very
Ring of
typical.
Listing is a free game, and they haven't really asked for money that I've seen up into this point. I haven't seen anything that's like, oh, I need to buy this to be able to get whatever. But here they're actually starting to release some things that are playing into a way for them to actually make money, which I think they need to do because games can't run for free forever.
That's a
and
fact.
keep putting out content.
The ROE dev team has been working hard to develop new characters and other game content, which will all come to life in ROE's Adventurer Pass Season 1. We will start a new season every 2 months. Players will experience brand new content every season. This content will gradually unlock as the player's adventurer level increases. And players with the Adventurer Pass will receive more exclusive rewards, including Icon Character. The Icon Character you will meet in the first season is Exports Maniac, Gavin, Photographer, Lynn, Shadow, Hikage. Each Icon Character can also unlock more cosmetic customizations by reaching higher adventurer level. In addition, players will be able to change the skin of their various gadgets. More fresh and interesting content awaits your discovery. Adventurer Season 1 will be released on November 8th, 2018. This is just the beginning. The ROE dev team will keep providing players with more original and fascinating content. Stay tuned.
All right, that's an update from ROE, and not surprising in any sense. This is the way to do it. This is the way to make some. It's the way to make some cash.
The thing
on the
is,
side.
I think that this has become the way that you can support a game, and you're only supporting it if you actually play it.
See, that's the key.
I think it's a good method.
That's what I think is lost in a lot of this is if you're doing this, most people buying this, yeah, I guess some people are doing it for the skins and whatnot, but a lot of people are doing it just to support the game. They play the game a lot. They say, you know what, it's $10. I can do that.
And that's something that like we do with Rocket League, because my wife, it's a way to support them continuing to improve the game. Rocket League is a paid game, so it's a little bit different. But if I like what they're doing with the game, that's a good way for me to support. Same thing with Fortnite. If you enjoy Fortnite, you enjoy what they're doing, get the pass, get skins. You're also supporting the company so they can continue doing it. Somebody's got to pay that money. I mean, they can't. Epic would not be releasing this and continuing to put out all the stuff for Fortnite if it wasn't bringing in a form of money. It has to be paid for somehow.
Yeah, absolutely. Servers are not free. We've learned this. Servers are not free to keep up and run forever. That's just not a thing. Real quick, Brian, before we get out of here, I know we got some stuff to get into. H1Z1 did H1Z1 put out a tweet earlier this week where they asked people for new loading screen images, and they even said, well, you could put a tip on your image. So I submitted this, which is a screenshot of us on our Halloween episode with our fake hats on. I'm a big fan of hats.
Most flattering picture you could have picked.
It's a great picture, and I put the tip, listen to Infection Podcast. So I'm hoping
they're wanting tips. We have had more tips for playing H1Z1 than this podcast
than anything else.
Than anything else out there.
I'm hoping Adam makes it happen.
I promise you. He will. I hope not that picture. Hopefully they come back.
Yes, dude. Could you imagine if you launched up H1Z1 one day and that loaded? That would be the greatest thing ever, Brian. Just for a day.
Pinnacle of our career.
Hey, I mean, what are you gonna do? How many people can say, "Hey, I was featured on the loading screen of a game that's got 993 people currently playing it"?
Yeah.
I mean, you know, what are you gonna do?
Well, if they decide that they want to put something on there, then
PH has got the idea. He said
VH1Z1 podcast.
he said when we get our own server, we could get the loading screen. We get the loading
There you go.
screen. Yeah.
Yeah. See if they're still working on that.
Yeah,
See if it's still in the code.
3.5 years ago.
I'll have to get the domain name again.
Oh yeah, we'll probably let that lapse. Damn.
Yeah, it did. You gonna keep it up?
Wasn't worth $10 a year.
Yep.
All right, we had to have a little fun with that, but they are doing a contest. So if you've got some cool screenshots, you can submit them, and they're looking for loading screen pictures. They're also looking for. Jace Hall just tweeted that they're looking for a 30-second Steam promo video. So if you want to make one of those, they're also looking for that as well. I don't know. That's kind of a cool way to do it. Crowdsource it. Don't waste your time internally doing that stuff. I mean, I'm the photographer's all over this stuff. He submitted like 16 pictures for.
Yeah.
For
So they
loading
put
screen.
some of them in there
Yeah.
because he's been taking them over. I mean, that's like all he does.
Yeah, literally. All right. I think.
All right.
good.
So is there anything else? Blackwake did come out with an update. So if you're into Blackwake, we did mention it in passing. Talking about some of these other games, but mostly fixes. So if you want to check that out, 3.7. And they did say up until 4.0, they are doing quality of life and bug fixes for all those patches. So don't expect any big content until they get to 4.0.
Yeah, I think we actually covered a lot of our news today. We covered probably.
I think we got almost all of it. There was a Rust video, which we can talk about more next week.
Yep.
Hurt World put out an update, but I haven't heard too much of actually happening. I mean, they're making changes, but who do you know plays Hurt World?
I don't know
personally?
anybody.
So
I own it.
Overwatch has a new character.
We talk about that next week. Yeah.
Yep, we can talk about that. And I think that's it.
Yeah, I think
Battlefield 5. There was some information that I wanted to discuss. We could talk about that at the beginning of show next week.
Oh, a teaser for what's coming up next week.
Yes.
Yeah. Sorry, no hide and hold out news. PH. Sorry, they've
Still waiting for the update.
Yeah, still waiting for that update as well. All right. Well, hopefully, get ready for Fallout 76 if you're getting that. If you're playing Fallout 76. Oh, by the way, real quick, we're running super long, but doesn't matter. It's a podcast. See, that's great. I had a whole bunch of people reach out to me about mobile gaming.
Yes.
I got I think 4 or 5 Discord mentions, notifications, private messages in Discord, and all of them said they'd never played a mobile game. Musty was interested in the mobile RuneScape game, which they won't give me my account back. They said I didn't give them enough information for them to send me a password reset, but I know it's my account, so I'm gonna have to create a new one. So the response from our community, I didn't have a single person that said that they have played any extensive mobile game. The one-offs, I mean, I've played Fortnite and PUBG mobile from time to time. I know you play Vainglory, but you play that on your tablet, so I don't know how much we want to count that.
I mean, I can also play it on my phone. It's very similar on the phone experience,
but
they did a very good job.
Nobody in our group said that. So that, I don't know. I just thought that was interesting, and I appreciate everybody reaching out to me and just kind of let me know what your thoughts are.
It seems like it's a more casual audience that plays mobile. I mean, it's people who don't have a PC that's capable, or they've never played a PC game really. But then they feel like they're kind of getting that experience, because I have a friend who has a computer that doesn't have the ability to run PUBG. And so for him, he says, I play PUBG because he plays PUBG mobile in his mind.
And he's
playing PUBG.
And he's playing PUBG. I mean,
he's pretty much playing what it is.
Yeah. Killing all the bots.
So
good time.
Yep. But it's creating that kind of a light experience.
Yeah.
At least some of the newer games that are coming out on the Unreal Engine mobile are getting a light experience, a light version of a PC game.
Totally. All right.
So,
let's wrap it up here with current players, and of course you'll have your tip of the week. Current players is where we go through and talk about the games that are popular and who is actually playing them. Let's talk about H1Z1. Currently playing 1002. Hopefully we get our loading screen in there. That'll be great. The 24-hour peak, 2,603, and a 5-day peak of 5,834. You ready for these numbers, Brian? ARK Survival Evolved. Currently playing 53,911. The 24-hour peak, 81,010. Now here's your 7-day peak. It's 106,478, and that is an all-time high for ARK. So they've had 2 other DLCs that have been released. This one has got its all-time peak, 106,478 players, and this was 2 days ago, so this would have been Sunday that I guess, or Saturday night that people are playing this. Moving on to Miscreated. Currently playing 337. Your 24-hour peak, 553, with a 7-day peak of 725. Talking about failing numbers dropping off. PUBG, huge drop. Currently playing 18,988. The 24-hour peak, 782,310. And the 7-day peak, 867,996. Brian, it's clear that all of these players are not in America and playing on a U.S. time zone because your 24-hour peak is 800,000, and you're currently playing, which it's 6 o'clock in California, 9 o'clock on the East Coast, and 20,000
peak United States time, and
20,000
20,000. That's the thing, and that's what I think I was one of the first people to really call this out that I've ever heard. Right, was when I noticed it with H1Z1 saying these players, they're not here. Like, look at, you get it to where, all right, here's the United States. Yeah. Is that my, that's the wrong, is that my hat?
That's Detective Brian.
Okay. My detective hat. Okay.
With the party hat.
You had it to where it was the PC numbers on United States were really, really low. And then the second that China and Asia started to log in, the numbers jumped up like 1 million to 2 million. Or like 1 million people. There you go, on the other side of my head. And so that's the issue, is if you could really see how many people are playing in the United States. We found with H1Z1 they couldn't even fill a lobby on the West Coast.
The West Coast, yeah.
During a time when there were supposedly 30,000 plus people playing, they couldn't fill a 100 person lobby. So I think you're going to see that continue to happen. I mean, that's going to be scary, is when PUBG can't fill a United States lobby. What are they going to do? I
don't know. And frankly, I mean, you're not talking about, if this trend continues of losing the player base. PH mentioning, you're talking about almost 800,000 players that have vanished. Not overnight. This didn't happen overnight.
Well, I think he's talking about the ones that the gap between PC or between United States.
But that's what I'm saying. That didn't happen.
Asia, but the thing is, there is still a huge number of players in the United States that quit playing.
But I'm saying that didn't happen
to hit those numbers.
That didn't happen overnight. It was but it has happened pretty rapidly that we've seen that current player drop. I mean, not long ago was that in the 40s.
We'll move on to different games.
It was in the 40s and 50s not long ago. Like, not that long ago. So it's not like it.
Well, if they feel like Blackout's a better game, if they feel like it's less buggy, that there's less hackers, whatever it is, I have a feeling that has a big part to play with this. The people that were serious about PUBG have moved on to go play games like that.
Yeah.
Or it's more consistent.
Yeah, well, that's pretty crazy. That's current players. There's 7 people playing H1Z1 Just Survive right now, by the way. So half of last week, 7. There was 13
people
players.
Closed their launchers.
13 players had their launchers open last week. We're at about half of that, 7. So we're bringing you the hard-hitting facts that you need to get through your day.
Nice. Well, I mean, we could double that number right now.
Yeah, we could. Everybody launch H1Z1.
Everybody launch. I think I uninstalled it.
Yeah, so
too bad.
Damn.
All right. So if we're ready to move on to tip of the week.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, tip of the week. So we go through and either give a general gaming tip or one for a specific game. Since we've been playing some ARK Extinction this week, we're going to do that one. So that's his tip of the week. All right. Nice. It's a nice transition. It's got confetti falling, so we're all excited for the 200th episode and tip of the week. Here, on ARK, this new one, there's a lot of new materials that you can find around the map. They've got saps, gas, nodules, dust. It's different things that you can find, and it's more difficult to go around and actually find these. There's a lot more creatures on the ground. Someone mentioned before that this is very much a flying map. It's not made to travel very easily on foot. But if you go to the city, one thing you'll find a lot in the city are metals and crystals. Those are spread throughout the city. Also, you'll find that if you go underground, just next to the city into the cave system, there were a huge amount of beavers. This is something that they patched in the recent days, but there were hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of beavers everywhere swimming, and it was just out of control. They have corrected that, so there should be more of a reasonable amount of beavers, maybe comparable to what you saw on other maps. But if you go, you can get into their dens, and you can actually get cementing paste and different materials, a lot of wood out of those. Be careful though, because they will attack you the second that you loot them. Also, you can find enforcers in the city. Once you kill those, you can actually harvest oil, scrap metal, electronics, and elemental dust from those. If you're needing to get more metal, one thing I would encourage you to do is head over to the snow biome. They have a lot of metal nodes over there. Might be harder to find. It's much more rare throughout the rest of the map. If you head over to the wastelands, which is a big open area, generally not where you would set up a base, but you travel through it, there is obsidian all over there and oil. They actually have an oil lake, but I haven't discovered how you can get the oil from that. It's interesting that there's a whole lake of oil, but you can't just pick it up. They also have the red zone, and in there is oil that you can use. And also there's a cave in the red zone. And in that cave, there's a lot of very rare materials. So if you go and you're just trying to get some of those more rare items, look for a cave. If you happen to be looking at your map, 87.6 is the latitude and 70.3 is the longitude. But that's a really good cave that you can go to and gather some of those. So hopefully that helps you a little bit as far as finding those materials, because there's a lot of crafting that you have to do in this one. And so that is tip of the week.
All righty. Thank you very much for that, Brian.
Yes. All right.
Let's see.
You ready for our giveaway? Is there anything else we need to do beforehand?
I think we're good.
All right. Let's go and close this out. Did it do it?
Uh-oh. Oh no, Brian, you've broken the bot. What? Who's the winner?
I don't know. It did. Okay, hold on. Let me do a.
Uh-oh. Here, folks. This is how vote tampering happens. Brian is rigging the system right now. You are watching.
Well, actually,
live.
I have a list of the names here. So what I'm going to do is pick a random number. And then I'm going to pick. Okay, so this is Locklore. Locklore, congratulations.
Oh my!
You have one.
Rigged, totally set up.
I'll let to look and see. That's got to be a bug. We updated the bot.
News. Before. Aldridge over here rigging elections.
Locklore is saying it's rigged, but he won.
He's stuffing the ballot boxes and everything. I mean, this is ridiculous. Brian, I thought you were better than those people. Hey, I found out you're just the same.
I pulled this one out pretty good. The fact that I was able to randomly pull. This is a random.
Saul's got a good nickname.
Not a Florida.
Brian Broward County Aldridge. That's your new nickname. I want a Chiron that says that on it. Scumbag Aldridge.
Well, congratulations, Locklore.
Yeah, congrats.
So I will. I'll send you a key. And thank you, Musty, for donating today's giveaway.
Thanks so much. And that's something to bring up. If you've got extra keys for games, let Brian know, because we give away a game a week, and we'll get if it's a game that people are interested in, we'll give it away. And if it's not, just give it to Brian too. He's got an Excel spreadsheet of games that you've got available.
Yeah, I've got a lot of games that we'll have to do like a mass giveaway on.
Yeah, there's like all games that are like $1.99.
Every minute we're giving away a game. I could do that.
We need like a third host to like on the side, like just in text, give away games while we're doing the show.
Yeah.
And Musty's saying that's his way of supporting the show. That's absolutely a way to do it. And I want to thank our friend Saul for coming in with the Twitch Prime sub, and also for running our we did a Cyberpunk 2077 tabletop RPG night on Saturday, and he was the GM of that, and we had a good time with that as well. So I think that's it. 200 episodes in the can, Brian. We're going strong, and we'll be back next week for 201, I guess. I mean, there isn't really anything else.
Yeah, I mean, I think we covered everything. We don't have to wear these hats next week, thank goodness.
I mean, I got all these other party hats now. I don't know what I'm going to do with them.
I know I've got a stack of them here. I've got.
Oh, you bought all the
hats.
same. But that makes sense. I've got a stack of a whole bunch of different colors.
This is all they didn't have. Yeah, they didn't have a. I've got all my sombreros and then those.
Why did you buy the sombreros?
So,
you had no plan of wearing those.
Well, I thought they were going to be bigger, and then I didn't expect it to be. The picture made it look bigger, so if you're going to be more like a sombrero like this,
Yeah.
No, I mean, if you look, it's just like it's the smallest little sombrero you could ever have.
Yeah. Well, there you go.
I bought both of them just as a backup because I ordered it online. I ordered it on the online thing and picked it up, so I didn't know what I was getting until I got there. So I
talk about first
did
world
double.
problems when you order your party sombreros for your.
Can't be bothered to walk inside.
Okay, here we go. First world problems. Then we got to wrap it up. When you order a sombrero on Walmart delivery for your 200th episode of your podcast, that is the definition of first world problems. That it doesn't get more first world than that. Your podcast, Brian, your podcast. Oh no, the humanity. All right.
Yeah, rough day. I had to get my oil changed.
Jesus. All right, Brian, where can people find you online where you're not rigging Game of the Week giveaways?
Well, if you want to find me on Twitter at Boise Computer, or of course my blog biteoftech.com and our website. So if you're looking where to find us throughout the week, just go to our website, click on the upper right. There's a green button that says join our Discord server. And that's a place where you can submit news, hang out and play different video games throughout the week. Also, we have our Steam group, which gives notifications right before the show starts. We have our YouTube channel on there, our audio only forums, and then show notes for every episode we've done up until this point. And so if you're looking for any of that, infectionpodcast.com, and we'll keep that 7 days to die counter until they release Alpha 17. So you can always check that if you're always wondering.
Is there a possibility that we end the podcast before the 7 days to die update comes out? I mean, realistically, we could be looking at a couple of years before this patch comes out, Brian.
I mean,
I'm not foreshadowing at all. I'm just saying. I mean, who knows?
Actually, I had one more thing I wanted to ask you.
Okay.
So this weekend we did instead of our normal D&D night,
yeah,
we did a Cyberpunk night.
Yeah.
And so does that playing Cyberpunk as a board game, does it make you any more excited for the actual Cyberpunk video game that's going to be released?
No.
You didn't have any expectations?
No.
No. Okay.
No. I just enjoyed the tabletop version. I thought it was fun.
Well, I'm just wondering if you now understanding the world and does it make you any more interested?
It'll probably make me look at it again. I don't know if it'll make me buy it though. Okay. I'm not saying I'm not interested in it. I don't have any. I mean, not really. To be perfectly honest, no, not really.
But you're not really an RPG guy.
No, not at all. No, definitely.
Okay. So I mean that would make sense. I think people that are into RPG types of games would look and.
I'm not saying I'm not. I'm not saying I won't get it. I just that was not one of the.
Yeah, that's what I was curious. Did it make you think? Oh, I'm now looking.
No, but it'll make me double check. It'll make me do a double take on it. There's no doubt about it. Okay. Good. All right, Brian, you got one more of these poppers? You got another popper here?
Yeah.
All right, we're gonna shoot off one more for our 200th episode. We gotta aim it at the camera. Be careful, children. There's confetti all over this monitor now. All right, you ready? 3, 2, 1. Look at that. Beautiful.
Even
look.
It's smoking. Oh, it's a cheap one.
Hey. There we go. All right.
More stuff behind my monitor.
Yeah, I got crap all over the place now. Brian's house burns down in the 200th episode because of his $1.49 poppers from Walmart. All right, Brian.
Well, probably burning in here.
Yeah, well, throw it outside. You'll be good. Throw it in the fish tank. Brian, thank you. You have done show notes for the last 199 episodes every week. Without a doubt, there are show notes ready to go when I get home from work or whatever. So thank you, Brian. I appreciate it. You've the only reason we've been able to continue doing the show is because Brian does the prep. I'm not a prep person. If anybody's ever listened to my radio show, there's no prep involved. I just talk. So thank you, Brian.
Just run with it.
Yeah, I run with it.
Thank you for doing this. But the thing is, Nick does a lot of the harder work because he has to actually produce it, post it.
Put the hats on, like the real,
He's always asking me to put a hat on.
the complicated things like this. This is the kind of stuff I've got to deal with, or maybe that, just the,
you're making me go. Off my nose now.
the real complicated
I'm
matters. All right, folks. Thank you, Brian, and we will see you Friday night for Blackout. We'll be playing Call of Duty Blackout on the PC if you've got it, and then we'll see you next Tuesday here for 201, and then we'll have 4 year coming up. Well, we probably won't do anything for that, but nevertheless. Thank you, and thanks everybody for tuning in live. Appreciate you coming out tonight and celebrating. See, we're celebrating here. So celebrating our 200th episode. We appreciate everybody over the past 200 episodes that have watched us from the start as the H1Z1 podcast, now to the Survival podcast, and changes that are that may come in the future with the show and anything else that
whoever else buys us out in the future.
Yeah, I mean, if DC wants to, throw us 10, maybe 10, maybe 15, we'll see. We'll see 10, maybe even 20. Who knows? They may want to throw some serious cash behind this. I mean, the Infection podcast stocks are up. Let's get on the bandwagon, folks.
Exactly.
All right, we are literally at 2.5 hours at this point. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us for another episode of Infection. You can follow me on Twitter at Nicholas M. Craig. You can visit our website. It's infectionpodcast.com. Thank you so much for coming out, supporting us for our 200th episode. Have a great week, everybody. We'll see you next time.